Chapter 1722. He left the Phoenix tribe. Xiling, where is Ancestor Xian Tian's primordial spirit? His top priority now was to find Ancestor Xian Tian's primordial spirit and refine a Nirvana rebirth corpse slave. Black Heaven Sect. So that was it. Longao finally understood what Xiling meant. Ancestor Xian Tian's primordial spirit had not perished and had remained in Black Heaven Sect. As the saying went, the most dangerous place was the safest place. Even if Ancestor Wan Shou and Tong Zun died, they would never have thought that the primordial spirit they were looking for would be in Black Heaven Sect. Now that he knew where Ancestor Xian Tian's primordial spirit was, Longao did not hesitate. He sped up and headed toward Black Heaven Sect. Black Heaven Sect was one of the 10 great sects. Now that the Black Heaven Sect no longer existed, the culprits were the Martial Art Alliance and the Wan Shou Sect. If they fought alone, it would not be easy for either the Wan Shou Sect or the Martial Art Alliance to destroy the Black Heaven Sect. Black Heaven Peak, Black Heaven Sect's base camp. Black Heaven Peak was now a pile of ruins. Longao rushed over as fast as he could. Looking at the huge peak in front of him, he sighed. Black Heaven Sect was one of the 10 great sects. So what? It was destroyed just like that. If it was not for the fact, no one would have believed that Black Heaven Sect was destroyed so easily. Longao, I've locked onto Ancestor Xian Tian's primordial spirit. If Ancestor Xian Tian was in his prime, Longao would have been wary of him. However, Ancestor Xian Tian was only a primordial spirit now. He and his reincarnation avatar were more than enough to deal with Ancestor Xian Tian's primordial spirit. Let's go now. Longao did not want to waste any more time. He took a step forward and disappeared from where he was. As soon as Longao left, 2 figures appeared. They were none other than Ancestor Wan Shou and Tong Zun. After destroying Black Heaven Sect and killing Ancestor Xian Tian, they still could not find his primordial spirit. Brother Sure, are you saying that Ancestor Xian Tian's primordial spirit is here? How is that possible? Tong Zun did not believe it at all because Ancestor Xian Tian was not a fool. Why would he walk right into the trap? The myriad beasts' ancestor smiled. Brother Tong, as the saying goes, the most dangerous place is the safest place. Xian Tian's move is very brilliant, but it also depends on who he is facing. He didn't say anything. Since he was already here, Tong Zun didn't want to say anything more. Brother Tong, once we find Xian Tian's primordial spirit, we'll split the 10,000-year-old ginseng fruit in half. How about that? No problem. The 2 of them also headed for the mysterious Heaven Peak. Longao sensed their auras one after another. He was surprised. Could they have guessed that Ancestor Xian Tian's primordial spirit was here? He did not show his face. Longao had self-awareness. Under the circumstances where he did not utilize the absolute Heaven Corpse slave, he simply could not possibly be a match for the 2 of them. Previously, the absolute Heaven Corpse slave did not use much power to suppress Lu Yi and Tong Zun. If it was discovered by the clairvoyant when dealing with the myriad beasts' ancestor and Tong Zun, wouldn't it go for wool and come home shorn? Longao would not do something that he wasn't confident in. In short, no matter what, he had to find Ancestor Xian Tian's primordial spirit faster than the 2 of them. Longao knew that he had an advantage over the 2 of them. This was because Xiling had already locked onto the location of Ancestor Xian Tian's primordial spirit, but the 2 of them had not. In this case, he would definitely be able to find Ancestor Xian Tian's primordial spirit first. Xiling, are you sure? Following Xiling's lead, Longao came to a swamp. There was garbage everywhere, and it was as disgusting as it could be. Why would Ancestor Xian Tian choose this place? It was a little unlikely. However, Longao knew that Xiling would not lie to him. It seemed like Ancestor Xian Tian was really here. Longao, you have to be careful. Although Ancestor Xian Tian exists in the form of a primordial spirit, if he chooses to self-destruct, even you will be affected. The consequences will be a little severe. At this point, Xiling did not continue, but the meaning behind his words was clear. It was indeed a little troublesome to self-destruct a primordial spirit. Even if his physical defense was strong, he could not fight it head-on. He did not choose to give up. According to the location that Xiling had pointed out, Longao dashed out and went into the tunnel. Unknowingly, Longao had arrived at the bottom of the tunnel, which was about a few thousand meters below the ground. If Xiling had not locked onto Ancestor Xian Tian's location, no one would have thought that Ancestor Xian Tian would choose this place. In the huge cave, the sound of water dripping could be heard from all sides. Who is it? Longao walked in slowly and saw a ball of green light in the middle. It was none other than Ancestor Xian Tian of Black Heaven Sect. However, Ancestor Xian Tian was no longer in his original body, but in his primordial spirit. The original body and the primordial spirit were two different concepts. Longao? Ancestor Xian Tian seemed to have thought of something when he saw Longao's sudden appearance. His face instantly turned cold, and he said coldly, Longao, do you want the 10,000-year ginseng fruit too? 10,000-year ginseng fruit? What was that? Longao had no idea what a 10,000-year ginseng fruit was. Previously, Black Heaven Sect attacked Dragon Valley for no reason. If he had not dealt with it in time, they would have been in big trouble. Longao would settle this score sooner or later, but he never had the chance. Originally, Longao wanted to take advantage of this chaos to seek revenge on Black Heaven Sect. However, he did not expect someone to be faster than him. Before he could react, Black Heaven Sect had already been destroyed. Even if he wanted to seek revenge, he did not have the chance. Things were different now. Although Ancestor Xian Tian's original body had fallen, his primordial spirit still existed. If he did not settle this score, he would not be able to get through this ordeal. I'm not interested in the 10,000-year ginseng fruit. Xian Tian, do you still remember how you attacked Dragon Valley for no reason? So you're here for revenge. Humph, I listened to Ancestor Wan Shou and Tong Zun to deal with you, but I didn't expect to reap what I sowed. I'm sorry. Ancestor Xian Tian was extremely angry. The Wan Shou sect and the Martial Artists Alliance were clearly trying to set him up. Not only that, they were so ruthless that they destroyed the entire Black Heaven sect. If he did not have a trump card, he believed that even his primordial spirit would have been destroyed. Just as Longao was about to speak, two people suddenly rushed in. One of them was Ancestor Wan Shou, and the other was Tong Zun. Not to mention Ancestor Xian Tian. Even Longao was surprised that the two of them were able to find this place so quickly. He did not know how the two of them did it. Longao, did you bring the two of them here? No. I believe you. Ancestor Xian Tian was no longer worried when he saw the two people enter. P.S. Chapter 7 has been delivered. Little 9 is going to wash up and sleep. We'll continue tomorrow. Chapter 17:23. Xian Tian, I didn't expect you to be hiding here. He snorted coldly. Ancestor Xian Tian exuded a murderous aura. If he wasn't powerless, he would have attacked already. He wouldn't have waited for another minute. The two of them claimed that they were brothers in order to help him deal with Longao. But what happened in the end? They turned their backs on him. They kicked him to the curb after he outlived his usefulness. Ancestor Xian Tian hated himself for going for wool and coming home shorn. Xian Tian, I believe you should know what we want. As long as you hand over the 10,000-year-old ginseng fruit, the grudge between us can be written off. Moreover, we can help you rebuild the Xian Tian sect and become one of the 10 great powers again. Shameless. Xian Tian was enraged. He had seen shameless people before, but not to this extent. The two of them were shameless to the extreme. Ha ha ha. The two of them looked at each other and laughed. They didn't take Xian Tian seriously at all. In their opinion, Xian Tian, who had lost his original body, was nothing to worry about. As for Longao, he was even less of a threat. The two of them didn't expect to not only find Xian Tian, but also see Longao. Didn't that mean that they could get Jianling's primordial spirit without anyone noticing? Although Tong Zun had obtained the origin energy, he couldn't guarantee that he could break through to the Starry Sky realm. If he could devour Jianling's primordial spirit, he could be 100% sure. Longao, do you want the 10,000-year-old ginseng fruit? What do you mean? He would be lying if he said that he didn't want it. Longao finally knew why Ancestor Wan Bis and Tong Zun wanted to kill Xian Tian together. It turned out that it was because of the 10,000-year-old ginseng fruit. As for the effect of the fruit, he didn't know. Longao, if you can help me kill the two of them, I can promise you that I'll give you all 10,000-year-old ginseng fruits. What do you think? 10,000-year-old ginseng fruits? Both Ancestor Wan Beasts and Tong Zun didn't seem to expect that. The two of them looked at each other and saw a hint of surprise in each other's eyes. 10,000-year-old ginseng fruits. That was 10,000-year-old ginseng fruits. Tian, is there something wrong with your brain? In their opinion, Tian actually asked Longao to help him kill them. It was simply a superfluous move. Even if Longao had the help of Jianling's primordial spirit, they were not afraid. From the beginning to the end, Longao had never been in their eyes. It was only because of Longao's talent and potential that they wanted to kill Longao. Otherwise, they wouldn't even look at Longao. He was simply courting death. Tian ignored the two and stared at Longao. He asked, Longao, how is it? I want to ask, what is the use of the 10,000-year-old ginseng fruit? Those who consume it will not only be able to increase their strength, but they will also be able to retain their youthful looks and increase their lifespan. If one's primordial spirit consumes it, it will be able to grow significantly. You've taken the 10,000-year-old ginseng fruit? Longao did not expect the 10,000-year-old ginseng fruit to have such an effect. It was no wonder that the Myriad Beasts clan ancestor and Tong Zun were willing to destroy the Black Heaven sect to obtain the 10,000-year-old ginseng fruit. No one would be able to resist such temptation. That's right. I've already taken 5 10,000-year-old ginseng fruits. If you give me another year, I'm confident that I can reach Xing Kuan's level. The three of them were shocked. The Myriad Beasts clan ancestor and Tong Zun's faces instantly darkened. They knew very well what 5 10,000-year-old ginseng fruits meant. They were still a step too late. Fortunately, there were still 10,000-year-old ginseng fruits left. If they were any later, the consequences would be unimaginable. I promise you, but you have to give me 10,000-year-old ginseng fruits first. No problem. For some reason, Tian seemed to trust Longao very much. Perhaps it was because Tian knew that he was in great trouble and could not escape. Rather than that, he might as well use Longao to kill the two of them and avenge himself. Although he was unwilling, Tian was still a man and made a prompt decision. Tian, how dare you? The two of them were furious when they saw the 10 ginseng fruits in Tian's hand. Although Longao's strength was not great, his escaping skills were top-notch. After all, with such a powerful spatial artifact, even the two of them were not confident that they could keep Longao here. Before the two of them could react, Longao's figure had already disappeared. With the help of the spatial teleportation, Longao appeared in front of Ancestor Tian in the next second. Longao, the ginseng fruits are ours. Is that so? Tian sneered. At this point, the two of them were still shameless. Longao stretched out his hand, and in the blink of an eye, the 10,000-year-old ginseng fruits were in his hand. If the two of you dare to take another step, I'll destroy the 10,000-year-old ginseng fruits. The two of them did not doubt Longao's words and stopped abruptly. The Myriad Beasts ancestor said in an extremely cold voice, Longao, if you don't hand over the ginseng fruits, Before the two of them could speak, Longao waved his hand. The grudge between us can be settled later. Looking at Tian in front of him, Longao's voice was indifferent as he said, Tian, I will help you take revenge. Killing two people is not a problem at all. However, 10,000-year-old ginseng fruits are not enough. Tian was not surprised at all as he calmly replied, Longao, I know that I will not be able to escape this calamity. I was in the wrong in the previous matter. I misheard the slanderous words and secretly dealt with the Dragon Valley. If you want to take revenge, I have nothing to say. As long as you can help me take revenge, I will have no complaints no matter what price you have to pay. Tian was quite a character. However, Longao did not have the slightest bit of mercy. This was because mercy to the enemy was the greatest cruelty to oneself. Longao did not want to see such a thing happen a second time. No matter what, if he did not react in time, the Dragon Valley would be in big trouble. Everything had its cause and effect. Today's karma was the cause that Tian had planted in the past. He could not blame others, let alone himself. Tian, since I've promised you, I'll definitely help you. Other than the 10,000-year-old ginseng fruits, I only have one request. If you want me to kill the two of them, I need the help of your spirit. However, I'll be frank with you. Once your spirit is refined into a corpse slave, you won't even have the chance to reincarnate. Old ancestor Xian Tian's expression changed again and again. His face was very ugly. Although he did not know how to refine a corpse slave, he had heard of Longao's corpse slave. He never expected that Longao would want his spirit to be refined into a corpse slave. He would not even have the chance to reincarnate. Old ancestor Xian Tian's expression changed again. Chapter 1724. Agree or not? If he didn't agree, he wouldn't be able to leave this place. If he agreed, his primordial spirit would be refined into a corpse slave by Longao. After thinking about it, in the end, Ancestor Xian Tian gritted his teeth and nodded. I agree. Are you really willing? A gentleman keeps his word. I only hope that you will keep your promise and help me kill the shameless ancestor of all beasts and Tongzun in the future. Longao was a little surprised because he didn't expect Ancestor Xian Tian to really agree. Ancestor Xian Tian turned into a ray of light and charged towards Longao. Longao reached out and took it. He immediately sealed Ancestor Xian Tian's primordial spirit and sent it into the dragon seal space. He finally heaved a sigh of relief. Now that he had successfully obtained Ancestor Xian Tian's primordial spirit, as long as Long Fu sped up the refining process, he would be able to refine a corpse slave in less than 3 days. It would be the corpse slave of the primordial phoenix's corpse and primordial spirit. Longao, it's time for us to settle the score between us. I still have something to do today. I don't want to waste time with you. Get lost. The two of them were furious. As the most powerful martial artists in the world, they had never been humiliated like this. Longao was simply courting death. Kill. Not only did the two of them want to get the 10,000-year-old ginseng fruits, but they also wanted to get Jinling's primordial spirit and even kill Longao. In the next moment, Longao's figure suddenly disappeared from where he was, disappearing into thin air. The two of them were a little dumbfounded and helpless, but more than that, they were angry. The two of them knew very well that Longao had a spatial divine device. This was something that the world knew. Not to mention the two of them, Longao had also escaped unscathed in front of all the experts in the world during the battle at the Sword Sect and the battle at the Phoenix Peak. Was Longao really that powerful? It was impossible. Almost everyone knew that the biggest reason why Longao could escape unscathed was that Longao had a spatial divine device. It wasn't because he was strong. Helplessly watching Longao leave, the two of them could be considered to be extremely depressed. If they wanted to kill Longao, they would have to get their hands on Longao's spatial divine item. What should we do? This matter must not be leaked out. We have to try our best to find Longao. Otherwise, once Longao swallows 10,000-year-old ginseng fruits, even if we find him in the end, I'm afraid it will be useless. Whether it was Jinling's primordial spirit or the 10,000-year-old ginseng fruits, the two of them were determined to get them. Let's go. The two of them walked towards the passageway. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had disappeared without a trace. Just as the two of them left, Longao reappeared. Long Fu, how long will it take to refine a corpse slave? This was what Longao was most concerned about. Although he already had the help of an absolute heaven soul slave, it was the same as not having one. After all, in the current situation, if he forcibly used the power of an absolute heaven soul slave and was detected by the Oracle or other Starry Sky warriors, the consequences would be unimaginable. As for the absolute heaven soul slave, it couldn't leave the dragon seal space. In this case, it was impossible for the absolute heaven soul slave to stay in the Dragon Valley unless it stayed in the Dragon Valley forever. It was simply impossible. In this way, he couldn't wait to refine a corpse slave. With a Nirvana rebirth corpse slave guarding the Dragon Valley, there was no doubt that unless a Starry Sky warrior came, no one would be able to threaten the safety of the Dragon Valley. Master, if it was the previous profound heaven primordial spirit, I am confident that I can refine it within 10 days. However, it has swallowed 5 10,000-year-old ginseng fruits and its strength has greatly increased. In this case, I will need 7 days to refine it successfully. 7 days was neither too long nor too short. He could afford to wait. Long Fu, do you know about 10,000-year-old ginseng fruits? Yes, master. If I'm not mistaken, the 10,000-year-old ginseng fruits you obtained should be the reproduction of a starry sky divine fruit. If master can swallow 10 ginseng fruits, I believe your cultivation can directly break through the cycle reproduction. He was pleasantly surprised. It seemed that the 10,000-year-old ginseng was really powerful. It could actually help him break through from the unity of heaven and man to the cycle reproduction. At this time, Xiling and Bai Ling's figures appeared at the same time. Longao, with your bloodline, if you can swallow 10,000-year-old ginseng fruits, according to my guess, your cultivation should be able to break through the Nirvana Fate Tribulation Realm. Longao knew very well what the Nirvana Fate Tribulation Realm meant. If swallowing 10,000-year-old ginseng fruits could really break through the Nirvana Fate Tribulation Realm, then the Nirvana Rebirth Realm was only a step away. It would be unrealistic to say that he wasn't tempted. However, Longao shook his head. Longao, don't you believe what I said? It's not that I don't believe it, but I won't swallow the 10,000-year-old ginseng fruits. I've already thought about it. You and Bai Ling will each have one and Long Fu will have one. As for the remaining 7, I have my own arrangements. Big brother Long, don't you want to swallow them? Bai Ling was very anxious because her sister had just said that if Longao could swallow 10,000-year-old ginseng fruits, his strength would greatly increase. However, Longao didn't intend to swallow one. How could she not be anxious? Longao smiled and said, Bai Ling, don't worry. I will keep one ginseng fruit for myself. As for the breakthrough in strength, I hope to rely on my own efforts. My cultivation has already reached this level. If I rely on external forces to break through, it will be much more difficult to reproduce the origin power and break through to the starry sky realm in the future. Before Bai Ling could speak, Xiling nodded and said, Longao is right. Previously, he forced himself to break through to the Nirvana realm, so his realm was not completely stable. If he continues to rely on external forces to break through, it will be even more difficult to reproduce the origin power in the future. Since her sister had already said so, Bai Ling could only keep silent. Longao gave 3 of the 10 ginseng fruits to Xiling, Bai Ling, and Long Fu. As for the remaining 7, he had already thought about it. 1 for Aoshue, 1 for Yu Yin, 1 for each of his parents, 1 for Wang Yidao's grandfather, 1 for himself, 1 for Hades, and 1 for himself. Longao didn't continue to dwell on it and left the cave. Looking at the Xintian sect in front of him, Longao knew that after he refined the primordial spirit of ancestor Xintian, the Xintian sect would be truly destroyed. There was no chance for them to survive. No one could tell whether it was a blessing or a blessing. It was still the same old saying, what goes around comes around. If the Xintian sect hadn't secretly attacked the Dragon Valley, they wouldn't have ended up like this. With a deep sigh, Longao turned and left quickly. In a short while, he had disappeared into the vast sky. This time, Longao didn't return to the massacre abyss. Instead, he went to the Jiuzhou continent. Chapter 1725. Dragon Valley. Longao distributed all the ginseng fruits and swallowed a ginseng fruit on the way. It would be a lie to say that it was useless. However, it was almost impossible to break through his current realm and reach the cycle multiplication stage with just a 10,000-year-old ginseng fruit. Longao could clearly feel that he had reached a bottleneck and could break through at any time. He couldn't force it. Father, let's leave this corpse demon in Dragon Valley. I believe we can rest easy in the future. After leaving Dragon Valley, Longao was constantly worried. After the corpse demon was successfully refined, Longao finally breathed a sigh of relief. The corpse demon refined from the immemorial phoenix's corpse and Xin Tian's primordial spirit was definitely the strongest. Under the starry sky, even Xing Kuan couldn't kill such a corpse demon. With such a corpse demon guarding Dragon Valley, it was the safest. Longi was very clear about the power of the corpse demon and didn't refuse. There's something I've always wanted to tell you. Father, please speak. Longao was very curious. He didn't know what his father wanted to say to him. Aoer, your mother. What happened to mother? He secretly scolded himself. Perhaps he was too anxious because Longao was very clear that something must have happened to his mother. Otherwise, his father wouldn't be like this. After a deep sigh, Long Yi's eyes were slightly red. He said helplessly, "When your mother went out and came back, she seemed to be controlled by someone. She didn't speak all day and just sat there in a daze. I'll go take a look." He was a little anxious because his intuition told Longao that this matter wasn't simple. It seemed that someone wanted to deal with him, and his mother had become his scapegoat. If anything happened to his mother because of him, how would he explain it to his father? Explain it to him? He hoped that nothing happened to his mother. Not long after, Longao and Long Yi had already arrived at a courtyard. There were flowers everywhere, and a fragrance assailed their nostrils. The environment was very elegant. In Dragon Valley, except for a few people who knew about Lin, no one else knew. Mother. Hee, why do you call me mother? As expected, Longao had already guessed that his mother's mind was very likely to be controlled, and now it seemed that this was indeed the case. Who was it? Who are you? Long Yi didn't say anything, but worry was written all over his face. This was because he knew that the other party was definitely no ordinary person. After all, with the Dragon Valley and his son's current strength, the fact that the other party still dared to come was already very telling. Who am I? Take a guess. I'd like to see if you're a smart person. You're Blood Demon? After thinking about it, Long Ao finally locked onto the Blood Demon. Therefore, unless it was absolutely necessary, Long Ao wouldn't casually disturb their closed-door cultivation. Father, I will. Long Yi did not continue to speak. Instead, he prepared food and wine. The father and son sat on the ground. Under the moonlight, they drank one cup after another. With their strength, they would not get drunk no matter how much they drank. However, unexpectedly, both of them were drunk. They looked drunk on the surface, but they weren't drunk on the inside. The next morning, everyone gathered outside the courtyard, looking at Long Ao in front of them. Everyone hoped that Long Ao would be able to deal with this matter well. They didn't want anything to happen to Long Ao and Lin. Aoer, be careful. Mu Wanfeng seemed to have aged a lot overnight. Long Ao gave the 10,000-year-old ginseng fruit that he had originally given to Hades to his grandmother. He knew very well that this matter had dealt a huge blow to his grandmother. If she didn't recover, there would be a lot of trouble in the future. Grandmother, don't worry. I will definitely save your daughter and my mother. Grandmother believes in you. Long Ao glanced at his father and suddenly turned around. He gently pushed open the door and walked in. Then, the door closed. No one outside followed him in. P.S. The 4th chapter has been delivered. There's still the last chapter. Little 9 is going to rest first. After a busy day, he has to rush 5 chapters at night. He's really tired. The main thing is that he sleeps too late every night. Tragedy. Chapter 1727. In the courtyard. Long Ao, have you made up your mind? Blood Demon, there's no need to involve others in the grudge between us. Let my mother go, and I'll settle the grudge between us. Actually, there was no grudge between Long Ao and Blood Demon. But with the Dragon Seal, there would naturally be grudges between them. After all, Long Ao was now the owner of the Dragon Seal. This was karma. Since it was his own karma, Long Ao didn't run away. He just didn't want to implicate his mother. That was all. Long Ao, my request is very simple. As long as you hand over the Dragon Seal, I won't hurt your mother. How about it? He wasn't surprised at all. His mother's mind was controlled by Blood Demon, and Blood Demon himself was after the Dragon Seal. But could he hand over the Dragon Seal? Without a doubt, he definitely couldn't. Just as Xiling said, if he handed over the Dragon Seal, Blood Demon wouldn't let his mother go. He would even kill her and deal with him. Long Ao, you're not willing? Blood Demon couldn't enter the Dragon Valley, but he had already controlled Lin's mind. Blood Demon, I want to see you. No problem. 1,000 meters away, on the top of the lonely peak. In the next second, Long Ao's body disappeared without a trace. With the help of space teleportation, he rushed to the top of the lonely peak. 1,000 meters away, on the top of the lonely peak, Mu Lin stood beside Blood Demon. As soon as Longao dared to come, Mu Lin was anxious, but she couldn't say a word. Her face was very ugly. Blood Demon, let my mother go, and we'll settle the grudge between us now. Let your mother go? The Blood Demon sneered and said mockingly, Longao, I always thought that you were a smart person. However, I didn't expect that you would disappoint me. You have to remember that as a super expert, your family is nothing but bullshit. Family is bullshit? Longao definitely didn't agree. He said firmly, Blood Demon, family may not even be worth a fart in front of you, but family is supreme in my heart. No matter what, it's not as important as family. It was obvious that he was a little impatient. Longao, cut the crap. My request is very simple. As long as you hand over the dragon seal, you and your mother can leave. Moreover, I promise you that the grudges between us will be written off. Let my mother go first. The dragon seal would definitely not be handed over. Longao, you're too arrogant. Do you think that I wouldn't dare to kill your mother? Suddenly, the power of the stars erupted from the Blood Demon and suppressed Mu Lin. She was sweating profusely and her face was pale. With Mu Lin's strength, how could she resist the pressure of the Blood Demon's aura? As long as the Blood Demon wanted to, he could kill Mu Lin at any time. He was shocked in his heart and furious to the extreme. However, Longao was still very calm. He had to be calm in everything. Blood Demon, your cultivation has returned to the Starry Sky Realm? Longao was very surprised. He had never thought that the Blood Demon would recover so quickly. As expected of the Blood Demon, as expected of the true body of the Blood Pool. In fact, Longao didn't know that the Blood Demon couldn't have recovered so quickly if it hadn't swallowed 5 Lords of the Deep Caves in a row. Another reason was the Blood Pool. The Blood Demon, the true body of the Blood Pool, could mobilize the power of the entire Blood Pool. Ha ha ha, Longao, you never thought that I would recover to the Starry Sky Realm so quickly. If I want to, I can enter the Dragon Valley at any time and destroy your Long family. As soon as he finished speaking, the Blood Demon let go of Mu Lin. Aoer, leave quickly. Don't worry about mother. Longao didn't say anything. He directly sent his mother into the Dragon Seal space with the help of the Dragon Seal space. This way, he was truly relieved. Longao was very curious. He didn't know what the Blood Demon was thinking, but more than that, he was still afraid. The Blood Demon's cultivation had returned to the Starry Sky Realm. The Dragon Seal's energy shield could no longer resist the Blood Demon's power. Longao couldn't figure out why the Blood Demon didn't enter the Dragon Valley directly. If that was the case, wouldn't it be easier to use the Dragon Valley as a hostage to force him to submit? Master, when I set up the energy shield, I also set up the Dragon Seal Origin energy shield. This energy shield may not work on others, but the Blood Demon wouldn't dare touch it. Unless the Blood Demon's cultivation has reached the Starry Sky Domain Lord or even the Starry Sky Domain Emperor, he wouldn't dare enter the Dragon Valley. I see. Longao was also very suspicious. If the Blood Demon had broken through to the Starry Sky Realm, why didn't he enter the Dragon Valley? Longao, you and I are both smart people. With the help of the Dragon Seal, I can't enter the Dragon Valley. However, you can't guarantee that no one will come out of the Dragon Valley. Your mother is the first, but she won't be the last. If I want to, the Dragon Valley will be destroyed sooner or later. The Blood Demon wasn't exaggerating. Longao didn't have the slightest doubt. In Longao's mind, he had been thinking about one thing. That was, why did the Blood Demon release his mother? After all, it was much more convenient to use his mother as a hostage. In that case, why did the Blood Demon do that? Was there something fishy? Longao, cut the crap. Let's fight. If I win, you hand over the Dragon Seal. If I lose, I won't trouble you for 3 years. How about it? Shameless. Longao cursed in his heart. The Blood Demon's cultivation had returned to the Starry Sky Realm. With his strength, he was no match for the Blood Demon. There was no doubt that the Blood Demon would win this battle. What if other experts found out that he had used the absolute Heaven Soul Slave? Longao, you don't have the guts? No problem, I can be you. but you have to make a blood oath. Otherwise, I won't believe you. Your character. Shaking his head in ridicule, Longao's meaning was very simple. This caused Blood Demon's face to become more and more unsightly. He didn't think that his character would actually be looked down upon. The Blood Demon didn't hesitate and immediately made a blood oath. Whether it was a Nirvana Realm warrior, a Starry Sky Realm warrior, or even a Starry Sky Domain Lord or Starry Sky Domain Emperor, they were all very afraid of blood oaths. No one was willing to make a blood oath unless it was a last resort, because everyone knew very well that once a blood oath was made, they had to keep their promise. Otherwise, they would definitely be devoured by the blood oath. This battle was unavoidable. Otherwise, even if he could avoid it this time, what about the next 3 years? Since he couldn't avoid it, he would take the risk and fight. After making the blood oath, the Blood Demon said contemptuously, Longao, if you win this battle, I won't look for you for 3 years. But in the future, I will definitely go all out to deal with you. But you won't have that kind of opportunity. In the Blood Demon's view, the other party was just an insignificant unity of heaven and man cultivator. How could he compete with him? P.S. Chapter 5 delivered. It's getting late. 1:30. Xiaoju will go to sleep first. Good night, everyone. Chapter 17:28. The power of the starry sky pressed down fiercely. In the Blood Demon's view, the other party was just an oneness of heaven and men warrior. It was impossible for him to resist the suppression of his starry sky power. Under the starry sky, everyone was an ant. It was something that he was sure of, but Longao broke it with the help of the Samsara arts. Samsara sword? The Blood Demon was surprised that the other party broke his starry sky power with one sword. He was not surprised at all. With his eyesight, it was impossible for him not to recognize the Samsara arts. Anyway, they had broken off. As long as he defeated the Blood Demon, he could sit back and relax for 3 years. He took the initiative to attack. With the Samsara arts in hand, Longao took a big stride and disappeared. The next second, he was in front of the Blood Demon. Although he could break the starry sky power, Longao still knew his limits. A starry sky warrior was a starry sky warrior. A Nirvana warrior could not compete with him. He threw out a starry sky martial skill. After the Samsara sword slashed out the Samsara sword chi, Longao used the destruction palm at the same time. When the two palms collided, Longao's body flew out like a kite with a broken string. In the air, Longao stopped abruptly. Longao, do you really think you can defeat me? The Blood Demon said contemptuously, his face full of sarcasm and contempt. The gap between the Nirvana realm and the Starry Sky realm was like an insurmountable gap. Are you afraid? Without speaking, Longao rushed out again. Before he arrived, the horrible sword chi arrived first. In his mind, he quickly thought about the absolute heaven soul slave. Because Longao knew very well that once he used the power of the absolute heaven soul slave, the marvelous mathematician and others would find out, and the consequences would be unimaginable. If he did not use the absolute heaven soul slave, he could not defeat the Blood Demon with his own strength. What should he do? Take a risk. Just when Longao was about to touch the Blood Demon, a figure flashed. The absolute heaven soul slave had appeared in front of the Blood Demon. Although the Blood Demon had recovered to the Starry Sky realm, he was only a level 1 Starry Sky cultivator. As for the absolute heaven soul servant, it was a genuine class 8 Starry Sky soul servant, which was 7 levels higher than the Blood Devil. The two were simply not on the same level. If it was the Blood Devil at his peak, the absolute heaven soul slave would definitely not be the Blood Devil's match. But now, grade 8 Starry Sky cultivator. Sensing the aura of the primordial spirit in front of him, Blood Demon was completely stunned. In any case, if Ning Cheng was at his peak, he would not have feared a grade 8 Starry Sky essence spirit. He kept retreating. Longao, how dare you trick me? Now, the Blood Demon finally understood why Longao dared to fight with him. It turned out that Longao had come prepared. If Ning Cheng did not have a grade 8 Starry Sky essence spirit, even if he gave Longao 10,000 times more courage, Longao would not dare to fight with him. He had miscalculated. Seeing that the blood demon wanted to retreat, Longao naturally wouldn't give up so easily. Blood Devil turned around and left. Longao chased after him. In the blink of an eye, the two of them, along with the absolute heaven soul slave, had already disappeared without a trace. Outer Sea. Inside the Crystal Palace, the divine mathematician, who had closed his eyes, suddenly opened his eyes with a surprised look on his face. He muttered to himself, "Grade 8 Starry Sky Soul Slave. Is there such a martial artist?" The divine mathematician's figure suddenly disappeared. Chasing after him, "Blood Demon, as long as you admit defeat, we will immediately stop this battle." Admit defeat? What a joke! The Blood Demon certainly did not want to admit defeat. Even if this matter did not spread out, where would his face go? Poochie. Before the Blood Demon could react, the Absolute Heaven Soul Slave's Starry Sky domain suppressed him. The Absolute Heaven Soul Slave's palm landed on the Blood Demon's body one after another. If not for the Blood Demon's strong defensive power, the Absolute Heaven Soul Slave would have already killed him. Longao did it on purpose. The reason was simple, that is, Longao did not want to fight near the Dragon Valley. The further away from the Dragon Valley, the better. Even if someone sensed it, they would not associate it with the Dragon Valley. He wasn't killed, but he was severely injured. Longao, I admit defeat. As soon as he admitted defeat, the Absolute Heaven Soul Slave disappeared without a trace. Let's go. Longao didn't dare to tarry. Not long after the two of them left, the divine mathematician's figure appeared. His expression was gloomy. Even if he was the divine mathematician, there was nothing he could do. Just who was it? No matter how the divine mathematician thought about it, he couldn't think of Longao. If it had been someone else, perhaps he would have been able to calculate it. Only the Longao was someone he couldn't calculate. Otherwise, he wouldn't have chosen Longao. Within a remote mountain valley, Longao, no matter how you won, this battle is my loss. I will abide by my promise. For 3 years, I won't cause trouble for you. Not only that, I will leave the Martial Heaven continent tomorrow. 3 years later, I will wait for you in the starry sky. After saying that, the Blood Demon stood up and left. Longao, why don't you kill the Blood Demon and eliminate all future troubles? I couldn't kill him. Xiling was very curious. He didn't know what Longao was thinking. Longao was also very helpless. If he could kill the Blood Demon, how could he not be willing? However, Long Fu had just sent him a spiritual message. Chapter 1729. Inside the Dragon Seal Space. Long Fu, what's the reason? Why can't we kill the Blood Demon? Longao couldn't figure it out either. If they didn't eliminate the Blood Demon, there would be endless trouble in the future. Master, I stopped you from killing the Blood Demon because of your mother. No one wanted to destroy the Blood Demon more than Long Fu. The Dragon Seal had sealed the Blood Demon for tens of thousands of years. Long Mia even sacrificed himself in order to completely destroy the Blood Demon. And the result? The Blood Demon broke out of the seal. My mother? He was shocked because Longao seemed to have guessed something. Longao had been wondering why the Blood Demon would let go of his mother for no reason. After all, capturing his mother could threaten him. His mother was a trump card for the Blood Demon. Long Fu, what's going on? He couldn't wait. Master, don't be impatient. Although the Blood Demon didn't take you seriously at first, he had a backup plan. If he loses to you, you won't be able to kill him. The reason is simple. If he dies, your mother will die too. I see. He cursed in his heart. What a despicable and shameless Blood Demon. He used this trick to trick me. Fortunately, I didn't do anything. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Long Fu, do you have a way to solve this? Master, if the Blood Demon is fine, your mother will be fine too. What if the Blood Demon? Long Fu didn't continue, but the meaning in his words was clear. As for a solution, I can't think of one yet. But the best way is to let the Blood Demon deal with it himself. Master, you have to improve your strength quickly. 3 years later, try to surpass the Blood Demon. Then, you'll have a chance to deal with the Blood Demon and completely remove the restriction in your mother's body. There was no way. Longao knew what Long Fu meant. Even Long Fu couldn't do anything, let alone others. He brought his mother back to the Dragon Valley. Everyone was happy to see Mu Lin return safely. As for Longao, he acted as if nothing had happened. He didn't want anyone to know, especially his father. Others might not be able to tell, but how could Mu Wanfeng not? Ao, come with me. Grandma has something to say to you. Yes. No matter how powerful Longao was, he was still a child in front of Mu Wanfeng and the others. Inside the pavilion, with a deep sigh, Mu Wanfeng seemed to have aged several years in an instant, her face full of vicissitudes of life. Ao, tell me the truth. Did something happen to your mother? Should he continue to hide it? Since Granny already knew, there was no need to hide it. Longao did not continue to hide the truth and roughly explained the situation. Ao, what are you going to do? Grandma, don't worry. 3 years later, I will head to the vast starry sky. No matter what happens, I will settle this matter. Mu Wanfeng did not have the slightest doubt. She knew her grandson very well. However, she had witnessed Blood Demon's strength with her own eyes. Ao, you must be careful. Like I said before, if anything happens to you, I won't be able to explain it to your mother. Granny, leave mother's matter to me. But you must take care of your own body. Longao could clearly sense that Granny's body was getting worse and worse. Even if she took the 10,000-year ginseng fruit, it did not seem to have much effect. If this situation continued, Granny would have a major problem in 3 years at most. Mu Wanfeng was the clearest about the condition of her own body. I'm fine. After leaving the pavilion, Longao kept thinking about this matter. No matter what, he had to take care of Granny's body first. He opened the furnace to refine pills. Longao was not only a martial artist, he was also an array master, and he was also an alchemist. However, for so long, Longao had neglected his alchemy skills. After so long, he had not officially broken through to the divine-level alchemist realm. Alchemists, like array masters, had a very high status in the Tianwu continent. Longao had now become an imperial-level alchemist. It was more than enough for him to refine pills for body recovery. In the following time, Longao cultivated and refined pills at the same time. He was preparing to refine pills before leaving the Dragon Valley. The Tianwu continent was still in turmoil. The Dragon sect had just entered one of the 10 Great Tripod, and its foundation was not stable. At this time, he was most needed. Brother Long, what's going on with Sister Aoshue? It's been about 1 year and 8 months. That's a full 20 months, but there's still no news. Longao was very helpless. He roughly explained Aoshue's situation. After listening, Yu'in sighed. It was really unheard of for someone to start cultivating in their mother's womb. Aoshue, Yu'in, and Bai Ling were all present. After so many years, Longao had a total of 3 close female friends. Sister Aoshue, the child in your womb is not simple. The more energy it absorbs now, the stronger it will be when it is born. Maybe. Sister Bai Ling, maybe what? Let alone Aoshue, even Yu'in and Longao were a little curious. They didn't know what Bai Ling wanted to say. However, the 3 of them were very clear that Bai Ling definitely knew the reason. Otherwise, she wouldn't be like this. Brother Long, Sister Aoshue, I've seen this situation in the vast starry sky. According to legends, those who start cultivating in their mother's womb for a few decades at most. This kind of child is a powerful cultivator as soon as it is born. If the child in Sister Aoshue's womb can continue to devour energy and enter the vast starry sky, it won't take long. It will only take 5 years for the child to reach the starry sky realm. 5 years? Starry sky realm? Hearing Bai Ling's words, the other 3 were completely dumbfounded. This kind of thing was simply inconceivable. If Bai Ling hadn't said it herself, the other 3 wouldn't have believed it. A child born as a starry sky realm cultivator, how abnormal was that? However, Longao already understood. Unless the child could devour the energy of the starry sky, it would have to do so for a full 5 years. The chances of that were very small. Wait until my cultivation base breaks through to the starry sky realm. If the child hasn't been born yet, I'll take Aoshue to the vast starry sky. If the child can really reach the starry sky realm as soon as it is born, that would be the best. Starry sky realm cultivators might be nothing in the vast starry sky, but they were very rare and peerless existences in the Tianwu continent. Yes, let's not deliberately care about this matter. Sister Aoshue, you just need to devour endless energy. The longer the child is in your womb, the better it will be for the child. Chapter 1730. No one doubted Bai Ling's words. The three of them were very clear that Bai Ling wouldn't harm Aoshue. Big Brother Long, when you leave this time, can you bring me and Big Sister Yuan with you? No. Longao didn't even think about it. He directly refused. When a man needed to be ruthless, he had to be ruthless. Yuan and Aoshue might have reached the Nirvana realm, but the martial heaven continent was filled with experts. There were many people who could kill them. As the saying went, there was always someone stronger. If something happened to Aoshue and Yuan, what would he do? Aoshue seemed to want to say something, but Yuan spoke first. Big Brother Long, I know you're worried about us. We can stay here, but you have to promise us that no matter what happens to you, nothing can happen to you. Otherwise, we'll follow you in life and death. Follow you in life and death. These simple words were enough to express Yuan and Aoshue's attitude. Their meaning was very simple. If something happened to Longao, the two of them wouldn't live alone. They were very moved. Longao only nodded and did not say anything. However, in Aoshue and Yuan's eyes, this was already enough. As for why Bai Ling could follow Longao, the two of them knew the answer. The reason was simple. Bai Ling's true body had died, and only her Yuan spirit remained. If she didn't quickly recover her Yuan spirit, no one could guarantee that nothing would happen to Bai Ling in the future. The night passed silently. The next day, early morning, dawn had just arrived when the God Diviner quietly arrived. Others might not be able to enter the Dragon Valley, but the God Diviner didn't have the slightest obstruction. Senior, do you need something? Seeing the God Diviner suddenly appear, Long Ao's heart thumped. Even now, he didn't know if the God Diviner was good or bad. He didn't know what the God Diviner was plotting against him. Could it be that the God Diviner had sensed the aura of the absolute heaven soul slaves? It shouldn't be. Furthermore, Master God Diviner had only exchanged 3 moves with the Blood Devil, so there was no way he could have sensed the presence of the consummate heaven soul slaves so quickly. Even if Master God Diviner was powerful, there was no way he could have sensed the presence of the consummate heaven soul slaves so quickly. If it wasn't this matter, then what could it be? Longao, I heard that you can refine soul slaves and corpse slaves. Let me have a look. There was no need to doubt his orders. If anyone else had said such a thing, Longao would have slapped them across the face. Master God Diviner was the only exception. Who asked him to have such strength? Without a choice, Longao took out a soul slave and a corpse demon from the Dragon Seal space. Previously, I sensed a Class 8 Starry Sky soul slave. If not for your lack of strength, I would have even suspected that you had refined a Class 8 Starry Sky soul slave. As expected, it seemed that Master God Diviner had indeed come for this matter. It was hard to imagine that even so, Master God Diviner could still sense the existence of the absolute heaven soul slaves. Thinking about the consequences, Longao felt a little scared. Senior, the reason why I can refine soul slaves and corpse slaves is because I obtained a refining martial technique a few years ago. It can refine deity Dao corpse slaves at most. As for the Starry Sky corpse slaves or soul slaves, speaking until here, Longao did not continue, but the meaning in his words was very clear. Master God Diviner also nodded in agreement. Wanting to refine Starry Sky soul slaves or corpse slaves, not to mention Longao, even ordinary Starry Sky martial artists could not do it. It was simply a joke. If it was not Longao, then who could it be? Thinking about it, Master God Diviner still could not figure it out. Master God Diviner knew very well that 10,000 years ago, although the Heavenly Tao had killed all the Starry Sky martial artists, including the Starry Sky martial artist who had entered from the Starry Sky, no one could guarantee that no Starry Sky martial artist had survived. The 8th level Starry Sky soul slaves had to be destroyed as soon as possible. Otherwise, there would be endless trouble in the future. Master God Diviner did not say anything, and Longao also did not ask. He secretly told himself that from now on, unless it was a last resort, he absolutely could not casually use the power of the absolute heaven soul slaves. Longao, your growth has surprised me. You have now reached the unity of heaven and man realm. You must reach the nirvana realm as soon as possible. That way, I will let you reproduce the origin power. As for how many levels you can break through to the Starry Sky realm in 3 years, that will depend on you. Starry Sky martial artist had 9 levels. In just 3 years, how far could he go? One had to know that he had not yet broken through to the Starry Sky realm. From the unity of heaven and man realm to the Starry Sky realm, who knew how long it would take? What if he could not reproduce the origin power within 3 years? There were no absolutes in the world. Even if Longao had full confidence in his talent, he still did not dare to have any confidence. After all, the Starry Sky realm was just a pipe dream for the Tianwu continent's martial artists. According to Bai Ling, in the vast Starry Sky, there were countless Starry Sky martial artists. Just like ordinary martial artists in the Tianwu continent, they could be seen everywhere. Not to mention low-level Starry Sky martial artists, even 7th-level Starry Sky martial artists, and even 8th-level Starry Sky martial artists were very common. The reason was very simple. The vast Starry Sky was filled with endless Starry Sky force. Everyone could feel the Starry Sky force. The environment was many times better than the Tianwu continent. Longao could almost say that if the Tianwu continent could still be filled with Starry Sky force, then there would be many Starry Sky martial artists in the Tianwu continent. He seemed to have thought of something. Before breaking through to the Starry Sky realm, one could not enter the vast Starry Sky. That was because the Starry Sky force would directly obliterate them. In that case, 10,000 years ago, the Tianwu continent also had Starry Sky force. Why could the martial artists below the Starry Sky realm still survive? Why was that? Longao asked as soon as he thought of it. He did not hold back and asked the question in his heart. After a moment of thought, Master God Diviner smiled and said, I almost forgot that you didn't know about this. It's simple. Countless planes are filled with the power of the Starry Sky. However, there are some planes that can't handle the power of the Starry Sky. Those planes are known as the lowest level planes. Primary planes? Planes were divided into different levels? The planes are divided into 3 levels: primary planes, intermediate planes, and advanced planes. Only intermediate planes and advanced planes can withstand the power of the stars. As for the specifics of these 2 planes, you will know in the future. I can tell you that among the 3 levels of planes, only intermediate planes and advanced planes can produce Starry Sky warriors. As for the primary planes, it is impossible for them, unless they devour the inheritance of the stars or the power of the stars. However, this kind of thing is very unlikely. It is impossible for the power of the stars or the inheritance of the stars to appear in the primary planes. As for advanced planes, the proportion of Starry Sky martial artists appearing is far higher than intermediate planes. It's about 10,000 times higher. Chapter 1731. 10,000 times? What kind of concept was that? In other words, if an intermediate plane could produce a Starry Sky martial artist, then an advanced plane would produce 10,000 Starry Sky martial artists. Even without the divine mathematician's explanation, Longao knew how big the difference between an intermediate plane and an advanced plane was. Beginner grade planes, intermediate grade planes, and advanced grade planes. The difference between each grade of planes was really huge. Longao, don't think that the high-level plane is the strongest. I can tell you that there are many planes among the high-level planes. They can be called the high-level planes among the high-level planes. A high-level plane among high-level planes? What did that mean? Longao was confused. Advanced planes are 10,000 times stronger than intermediate planes. As for advanced planes among advanced planes, they are 10,000 times stronger than ordinary advanced planes. 10,000 times, what kind of concept was that? Even with Longao's mental fortitude, he was a bit dumbfounded. Not only that, but outside of the 3 major planes, there are also native cultivators of the Starry Sky. Native cultivators of the Starry Sky? Senior, what do you mean by native cultivators of the starry sky? It's very simple. They are martial artists that originally existed in the starry sky. These people are born as starry sky martial artists. Fuck. He cursed in his heart. It was really infuriating to compare oneself to others. Countless planes, even advanced planes, everyone was working hard to break through to the starry sky realm. These so-called natives of the starry sky were born as starry sky martial artists. If the divine mathematician hadn't said it himself, Longao really wouldn't have believed it. If that was the case, then even if he broke through to the starry sky realm, he would still be an ant-like existence in the vast starry sky. He smiled. The divine mathematician seemed very satisfied with Longao's expression. 10,000 years ago, why did I seal the martial heaven continent and extract the power of the starry sky? I will tell you in the future. Since the divine mathematician didn't say, Longao naturally wouldn't ask. Longao, I still have things to do. I hope you won't disappoint me. Longao naturally knew what the divine mathematician was going to do. Investigate the matter of the absolute heaven soul slaves. The divine mathematician definitely wouldn't be able to find out. Before Longao could say anything, the divine mathematician's figure disappeared without a trace. In the dragon seal space. Long Fu, the oracle can't sense the existence of the dragon seal? Yes. Back when my true self disappeared, I used my essence power to create an energy shield that not even Master God Diviner could sense. So that was the case. Longao had always been curious as to why the clairvoyant master had sensed the dragon seal but refused to make a move. If the God Diviner knew about the existence of the dragon seal, then he wouldn't have acted like that just now. Master, don't worry. Let alone the martial heaven continent, even in the vast starry sky, unless I or you are willing, no one will be able to sense my existence. That's good. The dragon seal was Longao's lucky star, and also his greatest trump card. If it wasn't for the dragon seal, the current him might still be a trash in the Scarlet Fire town. Master, there's something I haven't told you. Speak. In Longao's mind, he was still thinking about the level of the planes. What the godly mathematician had just said was really too shocking. It was simply unbelievable. Master, you should be familiar with your desolate saint physique, right? He nodded. Longao naturally didn't feel the slightest bit unfamiliar with his own physique. The desolate saint physique was known as the number 1 saint physique. It was also known as the number 1 trash physique. Back then, it was precisely because of the desolate saint physique that his cultivation couldn't break through. In the end, he became the trash that everyone ridiculed for 10 whole years. However, it was also because of the desolate saint physique that his cultivation was faster than others. The dragon seal played an important role. Why did Long Fu suddenly mention the desolate saint physique? Could it be that there was a problem with the desolate saint physique? Long Fu, is there a problem? Master, there's no problem with your desolate saint physique, but I just want to tell you about the origin of your desolate saint physique. Ah, he was a little surprised. There was an origin of the desolate saint physique? Master, in the vast starry sky, there are countless geniuses and experts. Among them, there are as many saint physiques as there are hairs on a cow. Those who have saint physiques cultivate much faster than others and have many uses. Master, your desolate saint physique is one of the many saint physiques in the starry sky. It is also one of the top saint physiques. If the warriors in the starry sky know that you have such a top saint physique, they will definitely kill you. One of the many saint physiques in the vast starry sky? Was this true? It was like a dream, but Longao didn't have the slightest doubt because there was no need for Long Fu to fool him. Longao never thought that the desolate saint physique, which he had called trash a few years ago, would be one of the many saint physiques in the starry sky. Moreover, it was one of the top saint physiques. Was Long Fu going to tell him this? It shouldn't be. Master, what I mean is actually very simple. With your current strength, no one can sense the existence of your saint physique. However, when your cultivation reaches the starry sky realm, your saint physique will undergo a qualitative change. At that time, you must hide it well. Before you have a strong backing, don't let anyone know about your saint physique. Otherwise, you will have endless trouble. Cut the weeds and dig up the roots. Longao finally understood what Long Fu meant. Longao knew about the crime of possessing a treasure. He nodded and said, I know what to do. Looking at Long Fu, who seemed to want to say something but stopped on second thought, Longao asked curiously, Long Fu, if you have something to say, just say it. Why do you hesitate? It was not like Long Fu's character. Master, I originally wanted to tell you about this after your cultivation reaches the starry sky realm. However, I still want to remind you now. I'm afraid that once your saint physique is revealed, you won't even have the chance to enter the vast starry sky. Longao did not say anything. Looking at the expression on Long Fu's face, he already knew that what Long Fu was about to say was definitely not a trivial matter. Otherwise, Long Fu would not be like this. Was it related to the saint physique? Sure enough. Master, do you know what your desolate saint physique will transform into once it transforms? Longao shook his head. Of course, Longao did not know, but he was very curious. Long Fu had just said that his sacred desolation body was one of the most powerful sacred bodies in the starry sky. In that case, could it be that the sacred desolation body could transform into an even more powerful sacred body? It seemed a little unlikely. Nodding, Long Fu said, I believe that Master has already guessed that your desolate saint physique is not the desolate saint physique, but the samsara saint physique. Chapter 1732. Sacred Reincarnation Constitution? Is it related to the Reincarnation Clan? Hearing Long Fu's words, Longao immediately thought of the Reincarnation Clan. Long Fu, do you mean that my sacred reincarnation constitution is actually from the Reincarnation Clan? I think so. At this moment, Longao finally believed that he was indeed from the Reincarnation Clan. As for what kind of existence the Reincarnation Clan was, he still had no idea. By the way, Master, the marvelous mathematician didn't answer your question just now. I'll help him. He nodded. Master, regardless of whether it's an intermediate or advanced plane, although the power of the starry sky exists, ordinary warriors don't dare to feel it. Only those who have reached the nirvana rebirth realm can feel it and comprehend it bit by bit. Therefore, they won't be devoured by the power of the starry sky. I see. Long Fu, didn't you say that I can comprehend the power of the origin when I reach the nirvana realm? No. Long Fu said helplessly, Nirvana realm warriors can only devour the power of the starry sky. Only those who reach the nirvana rebirth realm can truly comprehend the power of the starry sky. I see. Longao didn't think too much about this problem. After all, it was common sense. Long Fu, can you tell me more about the Reincarnation Clan? This was what Longao wanted to know the most. His intuition told him that what the mysterious young man said in the wordless heaven book space should be true. It seemed that he was really from the Reincarnation Clan and was the mysterious young man's reincarnation. Although it was hard to believe, he gradually began to believe it. He was really from the Reincarnation Clan. Everything was so surreal. Master, you'd better ask Miss Xiling or Miss Bai Ling about this because I haven't been in the vast starry sky for long. Longao looked at Xiling and Bai Ling. Brother Long, are you really from the Reincarnation Clan? I think so. Not to mention Longao, even Bai Ling was a little doubtful. The Luan clan is one of the countless races in the vast universe. They are also one of the most powerful races, and they are also a native race of the universe. Longao had already guessed this. The strength of the Luan clan was self-evident. Xiling and Long Fu had mentioned it before. Countless years ago, there was a sudden change in the Luan clan. The clan suddenly disappeared. As for the person who was known as the strongest in the Luan clan, he also disappeared. Since then, the Luan clan disappeared from the vast starry sky. At this moment, Xiling went on to say, some people speculate that the Luan clan has been destroyed. Others speculate that the Luan clan sealed themselves to prevent the enemy from finding them. Self-sealing? Or was it destroyed? I believe you have already guessed that the Reincarnation Clan was not destroyed. They merely sealed themselves. However, that person has truly fallen. Longao, although I do not know your identity in the Reincarnation Clan, I must tell you that you must break through the starry sky realm as soon as possible and enter the vast starry sky. self-sealing and not being discovered by anyone. This in itself spoke volumes of the strength of the Lewin clan. Xiling, who is known as the strongest person in the Lewin clan, or the 12 starry sky rulers with 12 chaos tablets. Who is stronger and who is weaker? In the past, Longao would not have cared. However, the situation was completely different now. He already knew that he was indeed from the Lewin clan. Therefore, everything about the Lewin clan was related to him. Perhaps he could not sense anything now, but what if he awakened in the future? There was no harm in knowing more. We are neck and neck. Neck and neck? He was somewhat shocked. Longao had never imagined that the strongest person in the Lewin clan would be so strong that he could compete with the 12 starry sky rulers. One word, awesome. 2 words, very awesome. Longao finally understood why the Lewin clan was so strong. Under the leadership of a super strong person, it would be strange if the clan was not strong. Xiling, I am very curious. How did the Lewin clan's strong person fight against the 12 starry sky rulers without a chaos tablet? I don't know. Anyway, when that super strong person appeared, he was invincible in the starry sky. In the end, if he had not been plotted against, I'm afraid. Afraid of what? Forget it. You won't benefit from knowing now. When you enter the vast starry sky, you will naturally know. Xiling obviously did not want to say more. He pulled Bai Ling to the side, sat down on the ground, and began to cultivate. Longao was extremely depressed. Every time at a critical moment, Xiling would not say anything. It was like eating a meal and suddenly eating a fly. It was as disgusting as it could be. Xiling did not want to say more, and Longao did not ask. After all, he would naturally know about the Lewin clan when he entered the vast starry sky. He also wanted to open the Lewin clan and see if he was really from the Lewin clan. The sacred samsara physique. It seemed that if he wanted to transform into the sacred samsara physique, his cultivation would have to break through to the starry sky realm first. If the Tianwu continent had the power of the starry sky, then Longao was confident that he could reproduce his own origin power and break through to the starry sky realm. As for now, he could only take one step at a time. At the edge of the sky, Long Batian sat quietly in the sky with his eyes closed. Ever since he broke through to the 9th starry sky realm, Long Batian had always hoped to take another step forward and break through to the starry sky domain lord. Only when his cultivation reached this level could he be considered a true powerhouse. At that time, even in the vast starry sky, he would have a place for himself. However, Long Batian was not very optimistic about himself. The biggest reason was that he had broken through to the 9th starry sky realm by devouring a 9th starry sky primordial spirit. It was different from the heavenly Tao. He had broken through on his own. The difference between the two was huge. The heavenly Tao. He did not know whether the heavenly Tao had broken through or not. Long Batian certainly did not want the heavenly Tao to break through. Otherwise, he would be suppressed by the heavenly Tao forever, never to rise again. He certainly did not want to see such a feeling. Who is it? Suddenly opening his eyes, Long Batian stood up with a swoosh and looked at the void in front of him. At this moment, a hole was torn in space, and the figure of the heavenly Tao appeared. Heavenly Tao? Heavenly Tao. Looking at the heavenly Tao that suddenly appeared in front of him, Long Batian seemed to have guessed something. He was shocked. He did not expect that the heavenly Tao would also break through when he encountered an opportunity. It seemed that he would be suppressed by the heavenly Tao forever. As for the heavenly Tao, it did not dare to kill him. Long Batian knew very well that as long as the divine mathematician's strength suppressed the heavenly Tao would never dare to deal with him. This was the rule set by the divine mathematician. Chapter 1733. Tian Dao, you broke through? You broke through. Do you think I'm worse than you? Although he had guessed it, Long Batian couldn't help but feel a little helpless when Tian Dao admitted it himself. Breaking through by oneself and breaking through by devouring a starry sky yuan spirit were two different concepts. As for the gap between realms, the gap between a 9th starry sky cultivator and a starry sky domain lord was almost insurmountable. Long Batian, do you want to fight me? Fight? If Tian Dao hadn't broken through, Long Batian would have the confidence to fight him. But now, Long Batian smiled and said helplessly, "You don't need to be proud. Although I've broken through to the 9th Starry Sky realm after devouring a Starry Sky Yuan spirit, I won't devour a Starry Sky domain Lord's Yuan spirit in the future. At that time, we'll fight again." Ha ha ha. Tian Dao laughed crazily. This breakthrough made Tian Dao's confidence soar again. Just as Tian Dao was about to leave, Long Batian suddenly stopped him and asked, "You want to challenge Master Divine Mathematician?" "Of course, I want to be number 1 in the Sky Martial continent. After defeating Master Divine Mathematician, I'll open the seal of the Sky Martial continent and leave this continent." The vast starry sky is very exciting. Tian Dao's face was full of yearning and expectation. Long Batian heaved a deep sigh. "Why are you sighing? Don't you believe I can defeat Master Divine Mathematician?" Confidence. Looking at the confident Tian Dao, Long Batian said, "Master Divine Mathematician is not a Starry Sky Domain Lord, but a Starry Sky Domain Emperor. Not to mention you. Even the other domain lords of the vast Starry Sky are no match for Master Divine Mathematician." Starry Sky Domain Emperor? Master Divine Mathematician was actually a Starry Sky Domain Emperor. Tian Dao didn't know. No matter what others said, he always believed that Master Divine Mathematician was just a Starry Sky Domain Lord. That was why he worked hard to break through as soon as possible and fight Master Divine Mathematician. He didn't have the slightest doubt because Tian Dao knew very well that Long Batian didn't need to fool him. Was Master Divine Mathematician really a Starry Sky Domain Emperor? If that was the case, there was no need to continue this battle. He had already lost. He didn't choose to give up. Even if Master Divine Mathematician is a Starry Sky Domain Emperor, I won't give up. I will go to the vast Starry Sky now. Before Long Batian could react, Tian Dao had already turned around and left. "Heavenly Dao, you will always be stronger than me. Not only in terms of talent, but also in terms of temperament, the Heavenly Dao was far above him." Long Batian might not have been convinced in the past, but now he was completely convinced. Even if you break through to the Starry Sky Domain Emperor realm, can you really contend against Sir Divine Mathematician? As soon as he finished speaking, spatial fluctuations appeared. Master Clairvoyant. As far as Long Batian was concerned, Master God Diviner was so powerful that even the Emperor of the Starry Sky would have to be a super entity. Heavenly Dao, your future is immeasurable. Long Batian had never imagined that Master God Diviner would have such high expectations of the Dao of Heaven. Batian, this time, you had the opportunity to devour a Grade 9 Starry Sky Essence Spirit and break through to become a Grade 9 Starry Sky Cultivator. Do you want to continue to break through and become a Starry Sky Domain Lord?
Yes.
Long Batian didn't even think about it. He didn't even hesitate to say it. This time, after devouring the Grade 9 Starry Sky Essence Spirit, Long Batian's cultivation finally broke through to Grade 9 Starry Sky Cultivator. However, Long Batian knew that it would be as difficult as ascending to heaven if he wanted to take another step forward. Long Batian no longer dared to hope that he could become a Starry Sky Domain Lord in his lifetime. However, Master God Diviner had just given him hope. Long Batian didn't believe in others, but he trusted Master God Diviner very much. In his eyes, Master God Diviner was omnipotent. "Master God Diviner, what should I do?" "It's very simple. 3 years from now, the seal of the weak space might open. At that time, the cultivators of the Starry Sky outside will enter. If one of them is a Starry Sky Domain Lord, I will help you kill one." Shock. Long Batian was pleasantly surprised. With Master God Diviner's strength, killing a Starry Sky Domain Lord would be as easy as flipping his hand. Although he didn't know why Master God Diviner didn't directly enter the vast Starry Sky to kill a Starry Sky Domain Lord, there was still hope. "Many thanks for your help, Master God Diviner. Although I am willing to help you, you will need to work hard. Come with me." Master God Diviner and Long Batian's figures had already disappeared. The Tianwu continent was still in a state of war. However, the current state of the 10 forces seemed to have reached a balance. It would be difficult to replace them. Long Family, Dan Guild, Martial Artists Alliance, Wanshou sect, Dragon sect, Five Elements sect, Wanzhan school, Sword sect, Purple Thunder sect, Azura Palace. These were the newest 10 forces. The Dragon sect and the Azura Palace had replaced the 10 great forces. Their strength was definitely not as strong as the other 8 super forces. Even so, the Martial Art Alliance and the other super forces dared not underestimate the Dragon sect and the Azura Palace. The biggest reason was, Azura Palace not only had Xing Kuan, the strongest expert under the starry sky, but also had an army of divine beasts. As for Dragon sect, it was even simpler. Not to mention the strength of Longao and the others. Just the army of 500,000 corpse slaves was enough to make people not dare to provoke them. The Tianwu continent, which had been in turmoil for 3 years, had already stabilized. In the end, the 10 forces had stopped fighting. In this way, the second-rate, third-rate, and fourth-rate sects had also slowly stopped fighting. Below Dragon sect, the second-rate sects that had been destroyed were replaced by third-rate sects, and so on. The strong survived, and the weak perished. This was the unchanging truth. Perhaps some people had resented Longao and Dragon sect in the past. However, the winner was the king, and the loser was the bandit. At this time, no one would resent them. Everyone only looked at the result, not the process. Not only did no one resent Longao, many people were praising Longao for being a formidable person who could rise in this chaotic world. A martial artist who was once the trash of Scarlet Fire Town, in just a few years, had led his own sect and overcame all difficulties to establish the 10 forces. Who wouldn't be convinced? Who wouldn't admire him? Not only that, Longao himself was also a legendary person. In just a few years, he had gone from a trash who couldn't cultivate to a Nirvana realm martial artist, and even reached the realm of one with the world. This kind of cultivation speed was even more monstrous than a monstrous genius. Everyone was looking forward to it. Dragon sect, Martial Artists Alliance, Long family, and Wanshou sect all had grudges against each other. Would the two sides start a war? If the war really started, who would live and who would die? Some people hoped that the 3 superpowers would destroy Dragon sect, while others hoped that Dragon sect would counterattack and defeat the 3 superpowers. Long Tian was very clear about the characteristics of corpse demons. Unless there was an absolute suppression of strength, otherwise, even if it was 10 against 1, it would probably be impossible to kill the corpse demon. An army of 500,000 corpse demons was something that even an army of 5 million could not defeat. There was no doubt that they would lose this battle. At the mention of corpse demons, no matter who it was, no one dared to make a sound. This was because the might of an army of 500,000 corpse slaves was there for all to see. Seeing that no one spoke, Long Tian said, "Under such circumstances, there's no need for us to fight Longao head-on. Big brother, back then, Master Clairvoyant left behind the power of the stars in our dragon clan. If we lure the army of 500,000 corpse slaves into the Dragon Valley, I'm confident that we can use the power of the stars to kill the army of 500,000 corpse slaves." The power of the stars was the strongest power in the world. However, Long Tian shook his head and said, "We can't take the risk. I know what you're thinking, but I want the Wanshou sect and the Martial Artists Alliance. If they were to die, they would die together. If they were to live together, they would live together. Di Tian, Long Hang, the two of you remember, don't act rashly. I'll contact the Martial Artists Alliance and the Wanshou sect later. Even if Longao has an army of 500,000 corpse slaves, I don't believe that he can fight against 3 of us alone." Long Tian was full of confidence. The Wanshou sect, the Martial Artists Alliance, and the Long family were all part of the 10 sects. If the 3 superpowers worked together, they could completely dominate the continent. The next day, dusk, Tong Zun and the Wanshou sect ancestor arrived at the Long family at the same time. Both of them knew the purpose of their visit. To be honest, both of them were unwilling, but the 3 superpowers had worked together before. If they rejected now, who knew what Long Tian would do? The Long family wasn't something that the Black Heaven sect could compare to. Inside the giant pavilion, the 2 of you, I believe you already know about this matter. I'd like to ask, Are you willing to work with me to deal with Longao? Long Tian went straight to the point, which was enough to show that he was wary of Longao. This also surprised the Wan Shou sect ancestor and Tong Zun. Was a martial artist who had achieved one with the heavens that difficult to deal with? Brother Long, I know what you're afraid of. 500,000 corpse slaves aren't invincible. Before we came, we've already thought of a countermeasure. With the Dragon Clan as our base, I'll send over 1,000,000 spirit beasts. As for the Martial Artists Alliance, they'll mobilize all the martial artists in the world to set up an ambush. I don't believe that Longao can leave the Dragon Clan alive. Long Tian smiled. It turned out that the Wan Shou sect ancestor and Tong Zun had already thought of a plan. If that was the case, then everything would be easy. Tong Zun and Long Tian had a tacit understanding. Since the two of them had already devoured the origin energy, it was certain that they would break through to the starry sky realm in the future. The reason why they still cared about worldly affairs was that they didn't want others to find out about it. The two of you, I agree with your plan, but there's only one thing we need to do now. How are we going to lure Longao into the Dragon Clan? Although the two of them didn't say it explicitly, Long Tian knew that the two of them wanted him to use the Starry Sky Force. Since the three of them had the same goal, he didn't mind using it. Luring Longao into the Dragon Clan was indeed troublesome. After all, Longao wasn't stupid. Why would he enter the Dragon Clan for no reason? Especially the Starry Sky Force of the Dragon Clan. It wasn't a secret at all. Everyone knew about it, so Longao must know about it too. The three of them looked at each other and saw a trace of helplessness in each other's eyes. It seemed that they couldn't think of a better way to lure Longao into the Dragon Clan in a short time. Brother Long, Longao probably doesn't know that we're helping you. How about this? Instead of thinking of a way to lure him, why don't we openly declare war? If Longao really wants to fight, he will definitely fall into a trap. What do you think? Would it work? Long Tian didn't have full confidence because Longao was a smart person. How could he easily fall into a trap when he was like a sheep entering a tiger's den? With the power of the starry sky, no matter how arrogant Longao was, he believed that he wouldn't easily choose to enter the Dragon Clan. However, things had already come to this point. Long Tian could only choose to give it a try. Even if Longao didn't accept the challenge and didn't dare to enter the Dragon Clan, he wouldn't lose anything. In fact, it would give Longao a heavy blow. Longao's intuition told him that Bai Ling and Xiling definitely knew about this. Big Brother Long. Although the Martial Heaven continent is a medium-grade plane, the God Diviner has sucked away all of its origin energy. My sister and I are recovering very slowly here. If we can enter the starry sky, I'm sure our recovery speed will increase a lot. So that was the case. Longao understood Bai Ling's meaning. Even if he broke through to the starry sky realm in the Martial Heaven continent, there would still be great danger. Only by entering the starry sky would he be truly safe. Bai Ling, I know what you mean, but there are some things I must do. Once I'm done with the Martial Heaven continent, I'll go to the starry sky. Bai Ling didn't say anything. In her heart, she wanted nothing more than for Longao to break through to the starry sky realm and enter the starry sky. That way, even the God Diviner wouldn't be able to find her big brother Long. Both sides were doing their best to prepare. Boom, 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 boom. The void of the 9 heavens was suddenly filled with dark clouds. The purple clouds were rumbling non-stop. The dragon race wasn't just one of the 3 supreme beast races. They were also allied with the Long family. For the past 10,000 years, they had dominated the position of the 10 great sects. Back then, the dragon race was suppressed by the heaven's will and lost almost everything. But even so, the power of the dragon race was not to be underestimated. If not for the suppression of the heaven's will, the dragon race and the Long family would have been invincible in the 10 great sects. Outside the dragon race, in order to not damage the dragon sect's power, Longao had only brought 3 Nirvana realm martial artists and an army of 500,000 corpse slaves. In Longao's opinion, the army of 500,000 corpse slaves was enough. Even against the 3 super forces, the army of 500,000 corpse slaves was more than enough. As for the Nirvana realm martial artists of the three super forces, they were a big problem. Longao was very clear that if he used the power of the absolute heaven soul slaves, then he could deal with all the Nirvana realm martial artists in a few minutes at most. Could the absolute heaven soul slaves be sensed by the clairvoyant in a few minutes? This was a risk that Longao dared not take. One could never be too careful. If the clairvoyant sensed the power of the absolute heaven soul slaves in a few minutes, the consequences would be unimaginable. Master, we've received news that the Thousand Beasts sect has mobilized millions of spirit beasts to the dragon race. Not only that, the Martial Artists Alliance has also mobilized 5 million martial artists. We only have an army of 500,000 corpse slaves. If we want to fight the three of them alone, I'm afraid. Luli did not continue. Everyone knew that the three super forces were serious this time. With such a large army, it would be hard for the dragon race to defend against them. How could Longao not know what Elder Luli meant? His face was ugly. He had not expected the Martial Artists Alliance and the Thousand Beasts sect to be like this. They had mobilized all of their forces. Millions of spirit beasts and 5 million martial artists. What kind of concept was that? What should he do? Even if he could use the reincarnation arts to break through the starry sky, the army of 500,000 corpse slaves would not be able to resist such an army. After all, the three super forces had more than 40 Nirvana realm martial artists. If he chose to fight them head-on, the chances of him losing were very high. Yun Luoshan walked over and said helplessly, Master, this situation is very unfavorable for us. Should we enter the dragon race? Before Longao could speak, more than 40 figures suddenly shot out from the dragon race. Each of them emitted a powerful aura. They were all Nirvana realm martial artists. The ones at the front were Long Tian, Tong Zun, and the Thousand Beasts ancestor. Ha ha ha, Longao, aren't you arrogant? Since that's the case, why don't you dare to enter the dragon race and fight with us? Provocation, disdain, ridicule, disdain. Everyone's face was filled with disdain. Longao was the one who initiated the battle. At this time, Longao did not dare to enter the dragon race. It was simply a joke, a big joke. In everyone's view, Longao came here to bluff. Even if he had an army of 500,000 corpse slaves, what use would it be? Chapter 1736. Longao sneered. Long Tian, I've always thought that there was something wrong with your character. Now it seems that you're shameless to the extreme. Without the slightest anger, Long Tian just looked at him coldly. Long Tian, even if you're afraid of my dragon sect, you don't have to ask the Wan Shou sect and the Martial Artists Alliance to come. As long as you say that you're afraid, I can spare your life. Longao's face was full of disdain. The Long family accepted the dragon sect's challenge, but invited the Wan Shou sect and the Martial Artists Alliance to help. What did this mean? Although Long Tian's face was expressionless, he was extremely angry. Being challenged by Longao, but having to invite the Martial Artists Alliance and the Wan Shou sect to help was a great humiliation. Even with the help of the dragon sect, he was not afraid of Longao. The only thing Long Tian was afraid of was the army of 500,000 corpse slaves, not Longao. At this moment, the Wan Shou sect ancestor sneered, Longao, the winner is the king, and the loser is the bandit. If we kill you and destroy the dragon sect in this battle, do you think anyone in the Sky Martial continent will remember you? Taking 3 steps back, Longao said, if that's the case, let's fight and see who wins and who loses. Along with Longao's command, the 500,000 corpse slaves behind him surged out violently. They were like densely packed killing machines. They were not afraid of any pain. Every corpse slave only had Longao's command in their heart. That was to kill people on sight. If they saw spirit beasts, they would exterminate spirit beasts. Let's retreat. Long Tian and the others obviously would not fight the army of 500,000 corpse slaves head-on. The 40 Nirvana realm warriors knew their limits. As the saying goes, 2 fists are no match for 4 hands. If they were surrounded by the corpse slaves, no one could predict the consequences. In the blink of an eye, the 40 Nirvana realm warriors had all disappeared, and return to the Dragon Valley. The three of you, don't follow them in. Remember, no matter who comes out of the Dragon Clan, kill them all without mercy. If you encounter a powerhouse that you can't resist, the three of you must retreat immediately." "Yes," the three of them replied in unison. The three of them knew very well that although their strength was not bad, compared to the three superpowers, they were far from enough. If they forced their way in, they would only implicate the sect master. Bear the brunt. Longao directly arrived in front of the army of 500,000 corpse demons. With a single stride, his entire person charged towards the Dragon Clan. He was not surprised to be suppressed by the power of the stars as soon as he stepped into the Dragon Clan. He had already guessed that even if Long Tian invited the Martial Artists Alliance and the Wanshou sect to help, Long Tian would definitely use the power of the stars. The power of the stars was the most powerful force in the world. It was also the unique power of the Starry Sky Warriors. The power of the stars of the Dragon Clan was set up by the clairvoyant master 10,000 years ago in order to protect the Dragon Clan. Longao had already guessed that the clairvoyant master was not only a powerful Starry Sky Warrior, but also a genius in divination. Not only that, the clairvoyant master was also a Starry Sky Array master. Otherwise, the Dragon Clan would not have the power of the stars. The Starry Sky Array master was indeed a Starry Sky Array master. Longao could feel how powerful the array that stored the power of the stars was. Even the space-killing array, which was known as the number 1 array under the starry sky, could not be compared to this array. Longao stopped the army of 500,000 corpse demons from entering the Dragon Clan. The reason was simple. Even if the army of 500,000 corpse demons was extremely powerful, they could not compete with the power of the stars. Longao knew that if the army of 500,000 corpse demons rashly entered the Dragon Clan, there would only be one result. The army of 500,000 corpse demons would be completely destroyed by the power of the stars. Of course, Longao did not want to see such a result. Longao has been suppressed by the power of the stars. If nothing unexpected happens, Longao will undoubtedly die. Sensing that Longao had been suppressed, the primordial divine dragon said in surprise. But what made everyone curious was that Longao clearly knew that the Dragon Clan had the power of the stars. So why did he still take the risk to enter? Was he really not afraid of death? Longao was a smart person. It was impossible for him to enter rashly. Could it be that Longao had something to rely on? Other than the primordial divine dragon, no one else, including Longao, was pleasantly surprised. Because as long as Longao was not dead, it would not be considered their side's victory. Everyone was looking forward to Longao dying under the power of the stars. Because under normal circumstances, no matter who it was, even if it was a Nirvana reborn warrior, if they were suppressed by the power of the stars, only death would await them. Holding the reincarnation arts in hand, Longao, who had just entered the Dragon Clan and was suppressed by the power of the stars, made a backhand slash. It seemed ordinary, but in fact, Longao used the first form of the 36 reincarnation forms, reincarnation 9 slashes. One slash produced 9 slashes, and the 9 slashes of sword chi turned into a lightning-like attack, fiercely colliding with the power of the stars. Longao was full of confidence. According to the various battles in the past, his 36 reincarnation forms, combined with the reincarnation arts, could completely break through the power of the stars. This was the real reason why Longao dared to enter the Dragon Clan rashly. And the result? It didn't break through the power of the stars. Longao was completely dumbfounded. He didn't know what was going on, but Longao didn't give up at all. He continued to use the reincarnation 9 slashes, one slash after another, constantly attacking the power of the stars. In the void of the 9 heavens, thousands of miles of clouds, the godly mathematician and Longbatian stood at the top of the clouds, overlooking the battle in the Dragon Valley. Longbatian was very moved. He said helplessly, "My lord, why are you helping the Dragon Clan?" Longbatian was very curious. The godly mathematician had said before that he wouldn't interfere in the matters of the 10 sides. If that was the case, why would the godly mathematician intervene in the battle between Longao and the Dragon Clan? If the godly mathematician hadn't strengthened the power of the stars of the dragon clan, Longao's reincarnation sword chi would have easily broken through the power of the stars. Longbatian didn't know why Longao was able to do this, but it was simply unbelievable that a Nirvana realm martial artist could do this. Nothing can happen to the dragon clan. As for the sword in Longao's hand, if I'm not wrong, it should be the legendary reincarnation sword. I'm very surprised that the legendary reincarnation sword of the stars of the nine heavens had actually fallen into the hands of Longao. Reincarnation sword? Longbatian was shocked to hear this. Of course he knew what the reincarnation sword meant. It was the supreme treasure of the reincarnation clan, and also the super divine weapon of the strongest person of the reincarnation clan. Don't worry, Batian. If Longao had come from the reincarnation clan, maybe I would have intervened. It's just a sword, I don't care. No matter how strong a divine weapon is, it depends on who is using it. The godly mathematician obviously didn't want to continue, and Longbatian didn't dare to ask. My lord, according to the legends, as long as anyone obtains the 12 chaos tablets, they can become the ruler of the stars. Longbatian's meaning was clear. Strictly speaking, the chaos tablets were also divine weapons of the stars. If one could obtain the chaos tablets and hide in a random plane of the stars to cultivate, one could definitely become the ruler of the stars in the future. But the godly mathematician had just said that the divine weapon also depended on who had it. The two seemed to contradict each other. The godly mathematician obviously knew what Longbatian meant. He smiled and said, "What a joke. Even if someone obtains the chaos tablets, they can't become the ruler of the stars." Divine weapons are important, but the talent, potential, and even luck are also very important. Otherwise, when the 12 rulers of the stars fell, who knows how many people obtained the 12 chaos tablets? Have you ever heard of anyone who used the chaos tablets to become the new ruler of the stars? No. Longbatian was right. After the 12 rulers of the stars fell, no matter who obtained the chaos tablets, no one else became the ruler of the stars. Now that he thought about it, what Master Godly Mathematician said made sense. Divine weapons were important, but the talent, potential, and even luck were even more important. Batian, I've only strengthened the power of the stars, Longbatian said. As far as Longao is concerned, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Without experience, how can he grow stronger? Let's go. From now on, I won't interfere. As for the fate of the dragon folk, that's up to them. Longbatian didn't say anything, nor did he try to help Longao. Even without Master Godly Mathematician, he still wouldn't do anything. It was just as Master Godly Mathematician had said. Without experience, how could he grow stronger? Without danger, how could he grow stronger? If he helped Longao, what would he do in the future if he encountered danger? Within the dragon folk, Longao was still unable to break through the power of the starry sky around him. The more he attacked, the stronger the power of the starry sky around him seemed to be. Longao was depressed to the extreme. This time, he really miscalculated. He didn't expect that the power of the starry sky in the dragon clan would be so strong. You've lost, Longao. Suddenly, the voice of the primeval divine dragon rang out. Not only was Longao still alive, but he was also able to fight back against the power of the stars. Shocked, the divine dragon increased the intensity of his attacks, hoping to finish off Longao as quickly as possible. Even if you've lost, I won't lose. Longao was very clear that as long as he stopped attacking, he would be attacked by the power of the stars. At that time, even if his defense was strong, it would be difficult to resist the power of the stars. Since the first style of reincarnation didn't work, then he would use the second style of reincarnation. Longao was very clear about how powerful the 36 styles of reincarnation were. However, Longao hadn't succeeded in cultivating the second style of reincarnation yet. He used this opportunity to continuously use the second style of reincarnation, hoping to cultivate the second style of reincarnation as soon as possible. The first style of reincarnation was reincarnation 9 slashes. As for the second style, it was reincarnation chaotic dance. According to the sword technique, once the second style was used, the sky would be filled with reincarnation sword chi. Its power was far stronger than reincarnation 9 slashes. Chapter 1737. Under normal circumstances, it would probably take a month to cultivate the second form of reincarnation. But now, Longao used the power of the stars around him to continuously practice the second form of reincarnation. The speed of Longao's sword became faster and faster. It was so fast that it was a bit abnormal. Gradually, layers of sword shadows appeared around Longao's body. It was as if a group of demons were dancing wildly. Longao was still alive? Seeing Longao, who was enveloped by the power of the starry sky, not only did he not die, he was even practicing some kind of martial skill. Everyone was shocked. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have believed it. It was unbelievable. This person's talent and strength are too abnormal. If we don't get rid of him, I believe that in less than 10 years, no one will be a match for him. He was even more abnormal than Xingkuan. It would be a lie to say that they weren't worried. Among all of them, Long Tian was probably the most oppressed one. The reason was simple. Longao came from a Long family. If he had treated Longao well back then, things wouldn't have turned out this way. It was too late to say anything now. Big brother, is the power of the stars unable to kill Longao? As time passed, even the primordial divine dragon's confidence began to dwindle. If the power of the stars couldn't kill Longao, it would probably become the biggest joke of the continent in the past 10,000 years. Longao had to die. Long Tian's face was extremely gloomy. He said helplessly, Longao has been suppressed by the power of the stars. Even we can't enter. Everyone was very wary of the power of the stars because no matter who it was, as long as their cultivation hadn't broken through to the starry sky realm, they would be suppressed by the power of the stars and die. No one was willing to take the risk, including Long Tian and the primordial divine dragon. Everyone's face darkened as they tried to think of a way. At this moment, Shirpatian took a step forward and bowed respectfully. Ancestor, seniors, I have a way to kill Longao. Patian, tell us. The myriad beasts' ancestor was a little impatient, and so were the others. Ancestor, my idea is actually very simple. Although we can't enter the starry sky, we can work together and borrow the power of the divine artifact to attack Longao. I don't believe that Longao can multitask and resist our combined power. Good idea. No one objected because this was the only way, and the best way under such circumstances. What divine weapon should he use? The Wansho sect, the Martial Artists Alliance, and the Long family all belonged to the 10 great sects, and had existed for 10,000 years. There was no need to mention the number of divine weapons they possessed. Everyone looked at each other, not knowing which divine artifact to use. At the same time, everyone looked at Shirpatian. Since it was Shirpatian who came up with this idea, they believed that Shirpatian must have already thought of what divine weapon to use. Senior Mystical Dragon, if I remember correctly, Lord Clairvoyant gave you a super legendary weapon back then. Everyone looked at the primordial divine dragon. This was no secret. Big brother. Nodding, Long Tian said, since things have already come to this, there's no harm in using it. However, God's left hand can only be used 3 times. Back then, in order to protect the Long family and the dragon tribe, we have already used it twice. There's only one left. At this point, Long Tian did not continue, but the disappointment on his face told everyone everything. Even Long Tian was reluctant to use the last chance. However, in order to kill Longao, Long Tian was obviously going all out. The primordial divine dragon nodded and did not continue to talk nonsense. He turned and left. About a few minutes later, the primordial divine dragon had successfully returned, holding a ball of light in his hand that looked like a human's palm. This was the god's left hand that the clairvoyant had given to the primordial divine dragon back then, and it had great power. Greed. Everyone had a deep greed in their hearts because they knew very well how powerful the god's left hand was. Since that's the case, we'd better act as soon as possible. If Longao escapes and uses the space divine item to leave, we won't be able to do anything. However, Tong Zun shook his head and said helplessly, everyone, think carefully. If we use the god's left hand to deal with Longao, not only Longao, but even Jinling's primordial spirit and Longao's secrets will disappear along with Longao. Everything else did not matter. Only Jinling's primordial spirit was something that everyone dreamed of obtaining. Give up just like that? Unwilling. Everyone was extremely unwilling in their hearts. Even if they were unwilling, what could they do? The Wanshou ancestor obviously did not want to waste any more time. He was very afraid of Longao. Who knew how powerful Longao would become in the future? If Longao really became powerful, the Wanshou ancestor and the Wanshou ancestor would be the first to suffer. We can't care so much anymore. Longao must die. If we miss this opportunity, we won't be able to find another one. As for Jinling's primordial spirit, if we can't get it and force Longao to swallow Jinling's primordial spirit, the consequences will be unimaginable. Everyone's expression changed when they heard that. Previously, they only wanted to take away the Jinling's primordial spirit in Longao's body, but they never thought that if Jinling's primordial spirit was swallowed by Longao, once Longao reached the starry sky realm, no one would be a match for him. Under the starry sky, everyone was a nobody. Would the marvelous mathematician and Tian Dao offend a starry sky warrior for them? It was impossible. Thinking of this, everyone nodded. They had to deal with Longao first. As for whether they could get Jinling's primordial spirit or not, it was no longer important. Anyway, they couldn't get Jinling's primordial spirit, and Longao definitely couldn't swallow Jinling's primordial spirit. Everyone came out of the starry sky force and looked coldly at Longao, who was surrounded by sword chi. Brother, do it. Nodding, the primordial divine dragon took out the god's left hand and said, Wait. As long as I activate the god's left hand, everyone will pour all your power into it. This kind of power, if I'm not wrong, should be comparable to the starry sky force. It might even be more difficult to kill it. Even if Longao has 3 heads and 6 arms, he won't be able to resist the god's left hand. Long Tian continued, We only have one chance. We can only succeed. Failure is not an option. There was only one chance left for the god's left hand to attack, and it was extremely important. Everyone nodded their heads in agreement. Just as everyone was about to pour their power into the god's left hand, the situation changed. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Countless sword chi attacked like lightning bolts, shooting towards everyone. Sword chi followed by sword chi. It was like a group of swords dancing in the air. It was terrifying. But now, borrowing the power of God's left hand and using the power of absolute heaven's soul slaves, Longao began to understand. Would he really be able to hide from the clairvoyant master this way? Longao was very clear that he could not afford to make any mistakes. Master God Diviner was different from Long Tian and the others. Once he was locked onto, there would be no hope for him to leave the Dragon Clan alive. Longao, don't worry. God's left hand's power is stronger than you think, especially when 40 of them join forces. Even Master God Diviner would not be able to lock onto you. Remember, don't use your power outside the starry sky. Otherwise, Master God Diviner will instantly lock onto you. So that's how it is. It was a pity. If he could use this opportunity to eliminate everyone in one fell swoop, then he could really sit back and relax. However, to be able to use this opportunity to break through the starry sky was a blessing in disguise. As if thinking of something, Longao immediately said, Xiling, if I use the power of the absolute heaven soul slaves to break through the starry sky, I still won't be able to hide from Master God Diviner. Master God Diviner was very clear about what it meant to be able to break through the starry sky. Longao, if I'm not wrong, Master God Diviner already knows about the reincarnation sword in your hand. Maybe he doesn't like the sword, or maybe he's afraid of the backlash from the reincarnation sword. No matter what the reason is, you'd better not break through the starry sky. Leave first. This battle was neither a loss nor a win. It was really speechless. However, Longao wasn't a wishy-washy person. He made a prompt decision. If he was trapped here, there would only be 2 outcomes. One was that he would be killed by the starry sky's power. The other was that he would forcibly use the power of absolute heaven's soul slave. Leave first. Outside the starry sky, everyone was a little dumbfounded because of what had just happened. Until now, they seemed to have not recovered from the shock. Longao must die. Everyone was furious. 40 people joined forces, but Longao was still suppressed by the power of the starry sky. Even like this, they were almost killed by Longao. It was simply unbearable. The chrysanthemum could endure, but the secret cave could not endure. Without any hesitation, the 40 people came outside the starry sky again. Everyone poured all their power into God's left hand without any reservation. If everyone knew that Longao not only had Jianling's primordial spirit in his body, but also an 8th-rank corpse slave, who knew what they would think? Because such an existence could kill them in minutes. God's left hand integrated the power of more than 40 Nirvana realm martial artists. Its power was enough to contend with the starry sky. It directly rushed towards Longao, who was suppressed by the starry sky. It came at the right time. Longao didn't have the slightest fear. Instead, he was delighted. Originally, according to his strength, it was almost impossible to break through the current power of the starry sky. But now, it seemed that more than 40 people had helped him a lot. If everyone knew that he went for wool and came home shorn, who knew if they would vomit blood from anger? Just when the power released by God's left hand was about to reach him, absolute heaven's soul slave suddenly appeared in front of him. With a finger, the starry sky domain enveloped the power. No matter how powerful God's left hand was, it could not contend against the starry sky domain. The two of them were not on the same level. Here's my chance. The two forces collided with each other, and a hole opened in the starry sky. Longao took advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to take a step forward and leave the suppression of the starry sky. With Longao's departure, the power also disappeared. Everything returned to normal. Where is he? Looking at Longao, who had disappeared from the starry sky, everyone was dumbfounded, especially Primordial Divine Dragon and Long Tian. This time, they had used the power of God's left hand for the last time. If they could not kill Longao, they would suffer a great loss. Everyone was depressed to the extreme. No one could imagine how Longao could leave the starry sky. If they did not see it with their own eyes, no one would be willing to believe it. They looked at each other and saw a trace of helplessness and curiosity in each other's eyes. Chapter 1739. Old men, hurry up and get out here. Just as no one knew where Longao had gone, Longao's voice rang out from outside the dragon race. They were all shocked and immediately left the dragon clan. Outside the dragon race, when everyone came out and saw Longao, they were all dumbfounded. No one knew how Longao had come out. Longao, how did you do it? Do you really want to know? Longao looked from left to right, shook his head, and said mockingly, "The three superpowers, the rulers of the Sky Martial Continent, are still unable to keep me. If I were you, I would directly buy 2 pounds of tofu and go home to die. Is there any meaning in living?" Disdain. Naked disdain. They wanted to retort, but they couldn't find a reason to. That was because they knew Longao was telling the truth. The Martial Artists Alliance, the Long family, and the Myriad Beast Gate were all superpowers that could shake the martial heaven continent with just a stomp of their feet. But now, the three of them working together hadn't been able to keep Longao here. That was a great humiliation. Shirpatian took a step forward and sneered, "Longao, do you really think you can contend against the three of us?" Shirpatian, "I'll settle the enmity between us sooner or later." In the outer sea, within the Crystal Palace, Master God Diviner, who had been resting with his eyes closed, suddenly opened them. He smiled and said, "The dragon race has used God's left hand. If Longao can survive this, then he has passed my test. I hope he won't disappoint me." After muttering to himself, the God Diviner closed his eyes again. Shirpatian sneered at Longao's words. He didn't place Longao in his eyes at all. In his opinion, if it weren't for the fact that Longao had Jianling's Yuan spirit, his cultivation speed wouldn't have been so fast. If it was a one-on-one fight, he might not be a match for Longao. However, would the entire sect be afraid of Longao? If Longao could destroy the sect, he would have done it long ago. Why would he wait until now? As long as he had the support of his sect, he would not be afraid of Longao. Longao, I formally challenge you now. Do you dare to accept? With the full support of the Myriad Beast sect and the personal protection of the Myriad Beast Patriarch, Shurpatian finally broke through to the chi cycle multiplication stage, one whole level higher than Longao. What kind of concept was that? In the 5 realms of nirvana, each step was like ascending to the heavens. The difference between each realm was huge. Under normal circumstances, a martial artist who was in the union of heaven and man would not be able to defeat a martial artist who was in the heavenly cycle reproduction realm. That was indeed the case. In Shurpatian's opinion, if they were to fight with their true strength, Longao would not be his opponent at all. Challenge me? Longao laughed. His laughter was full of mockery. Enraged, Shurpatian said, Longao, don't you dare to accept my challenge? Why wouldn't I dare? Without waiting for Shurpatian to speak, Longao continued, Shurpatian, I have no problem accepting your challenge. How about we make a bet? Do you think I'm afraid of you? If I lose, not only will I kill myself here, but I will also give you my Jinling primordial spirit and all my treasures. How about that? Shurpatian asked, what if I lose? It's very simple. As long as you lose, you just have to promise me one thing. What is it? For some reason, he had a bad feeling in his heart. Could it be that Longao was already prepared? That should not be. The challenge was just proposed by him. Longao did not know it all. Or could it be that Longao was very confident in his strength and did not take him seriously at all? Thinking of this, Shurpatian was furious. He had already broken through to the multiplication cycle realm, while Longao was still at the one with the world realm. The difference between the two of them was self-evident. If he wanted to defeat Longao, it would be as easy as flipping his hand. If you lose, you just have to give me a drop of your blood. A drop of blood? Hearing Longao's words, not only Shurpatian, even the others were extremely curious. They didn't know what blood Longao was talking about. Longao, cut the crap. What kind of blood is it? 3-eyed golden ape? You're courting death. This time, the one who spoke was not Shurpatian, but the Myriad Beast ancestor. If it was any other blood, they wouldn't have any problems. Only this 3-eyed golden ape's blood could not be handed over. Everyone knew what this 3-eyed golden ape Longao was talking about. Not just them, but anyone in the martial heaven continent who had even the slightest bit of knowledge knew what it was. The 3-eyed golden ape had been accidentally trapped by the Myriad Beast ancestor. It was an auspicious beast of heaven and earth. In other words, wherever it went, the spiritual chi would increase by 10 times. That was how the Myriad Beast sect had treated it as its guardian divine beast. Not only that, the 3-eyed golden ape was not only an auspicious beast, but its blood was also a priceless treasure. Every drop was extremely difficult to obtain. Once, the 3-eyed golden ape had cut open its own skin to obtain a drop of blood. In the end, it had taken the 3-eyed golden ape 3 days and 3 nights to obtain a drop of blood. It could be imagined just how amazing the 3-eyed golden ape's blood was. It was said that as long as a cultivator swallowed a drop of the 3-eyed golden ape's blood, no matter how serious their injuries were, they could instantly recover and even increase their strength. If it weren't for the fact that the Wanshou sect was so powerful, many people would be willing to obtain the 3-eyed golden ape. Whether you're willing or not is up to you. Trust me, with my divine abilities, leaving this place will be easy. Shurpatian turned to the Myriad Beast ancestor. He couldn't make the decision regarding the 3-eyed golden ape. Only the Myriad Beast ancestor had this authority. The Myriad Beast ancestor naturally wasn't willing. Each drop of the 3-eyed golden ape's blood was a priceless treasure. Even if he was willing, the 3-eyed golden ape might not be willing. In the end, the Myriad Beast ancestor didn't believe that Shurpatian could defeat Longao. Otherwise, why would he be so hesitant? Let alone Shurpatian, the Myriad Beast ancestor didn't even have complete confidence in Tongzun challenging Longao. If Shurpatian really was defeated, wouldn't he be suffering a double loss? So you don't dare? Since you don't dare, why are you hesitating? Brother Shur, let's talk somewhere else. Nodding their heads, the Myriad Beast ancestor, Tongzun, Long Tian, and Sherpa Tian walked to the back. As for Longao, he wasn't in a hurry. As long as he didn't enter the Dragon Clan, it wouldn't be easy for them to keep him here. As for the three-eyed golden ape's blood, he was determined to obtain it. Because of this, he wasn't in a hurry. As long as Sherpa Tian and the myriad beast ancestor agreed, everything would be fine. P.S. Tomorrow, it will begin at midnight. Brothers who have votes after midnight, remember to vote for Little 9. Chapter 1740. Brother Tong, Brother Long. Do you really think that Patian can defeat Longao? No, it's impossible. Tong Zun and Long Tian spoke at the same time without any hesitation. In their eyes, even if Sherpa Tian was stronger than Longao, it was impossible for him to defeat Longao. Longao could not be compared to an ordinary person. Hearing this, Sherpa Tian was enraged to the extreme. Contempt. It was a blatant disdain. The two, including the ancestor, did not take him seriously. No matter what, he was still a martial artist. How could he not defeat a martial artist who had achieved unity of heaven and man? Endure. He had to endure, especially under such circumstances. Clenching his fists, Sherpa Tian knew that he could only win this battle. Otherwise, there would be no place for him in the Wan Shou sect in the future. If that's the case, how can I accept this battle? If he had full confidence, the Wan Shou sect ancestor would have accepted without hesitation. But now, he had no chance of winning. Once he accepted the battle, he would be handing over a drop of three-eye golden ape's blood. It was too precious. If it was something else, he would have let it go. Tong Zun smiled and said, Brother Sher, Brother Long, and I have a way to let Sherpa Tian win. What way? He could not wait. If Patian won, not only would he be able to kill Longao, he would also be able to obtain Jianling's primordial spirit. The Wan Shou sect ancestor had already thought about it. Once he obtained Jianling's primordial spirit, he would immediately flee. With his strength, as long as the two starry sky martial artists did not come, he could wait until he had devoured Jianling's primordial spirit. It's simple. As long as Brother Long uses God's left hand, killing Longao will be a matter of minutes. God's left hand? Everyone knew that God's left hand could only be used 3 times. It had already been used the last time. In other words, God's left hand was useless. Long Tian smiled and said, Everyone knows that the God's left hand that Mr. God Diviner gave me can only be used 3 times. No one knows that it can be used 4 times. So that's how it is. A few minutes later. Longao, I promise you. Longao was a little surprised. Since the 3 of them knew that Sherpa Tian was no match for him, why did they still agree? Could there be something fishy about this? However, things had already come to this point. Longao knew that there was nothing he could do. Everyone, including the army of 500,000 corpse slaves, retreated, leaving only Longao and Sherpa Tian in the middle. You look at me, and I look at you. Their fighting spirits soared up and collided fiercely with each other. Longao, the grudge between us will be completely resolved today. With a big stride, Sherpotian's figure had already dashed out. Before the person arrived, the terrifying fist shadow had already arrived. This time, Longao did not use the Samsara sword. Instead, he used his fists and prepared to fight with his fists. The Annihilation Palm used the fist as a palm. Terrifying fist shadows collided with each other. In just a few seconds, the 2 of them had already fought dozens of rounds. Longao's talent is unrivaled since the beginning of time. Tong Zun and Long Tian nodded in agreement. Even if they did not want to believe it, Longao's talent and potential were there. In just a few years, he could reach this step. Longao was worthy of being called the number 1. The more it is like this, the more Longao has to die. This person cannot be left alive. Otherwise, we will all be in trouble in the future. The 3 of them were very worried because Longao's talent was too terrifying. The battle continued to escalate. The 2 of them knew that they could not lose. Otherwise, they would be doomed eternally. There was a huge gap between Longao and Sherpa Tian. However, Longao used the Starry Sky martial skill. It was not a problem who would win this battle. Innate superpower, dragon roar. When the dragon roar sounded, Shirpatian found that the space around him had changed. Everyone knew about Longao's innate superpower. Among the countless people in the Dragon Clan, only Longao and Long Tian had the dragon roar superpower. However, if they were to compare their innate superpower, Longao's innate superpower was still better. Shirpatian did not continue to fight with Longao. Instead, he used all his strength to break the flow of space around him. He knew that once his body was locked, the consequences would be unimaginable. The time ultimate skill. The dragon roar was just a cover. Longao was really going to use the time ultimate skill. The reason was simple. Everyone knew about his innate superpower. However, no one knew about his time ultimate skill. Because of this move could be used to win by surprise. There were a total of 3 sure kill time skills. They were time rewind, time forbid, and time advance. Longao did not know which of the 3 time ultimate skills was more powerful. However, with his current strength, the 3 time ultimate skills could be merged together. In other words, the change in the flow of time could not only change his speed, but also the speed of his opponent. As for time prohibition, it was a suppressive time ultimate skill. Unless it was a last resort, Longao would never use time prohibition. Once it backfired, it would really be like trying to steal a chicken only to end up losing the rice used to lure it. Time martial skill? This is a time martial skill. My god, Longao actually has a time martial skill. Previously at Phoenix Peak, Longao had already used a time martial skill. However, other than a few people, no one knew that Longao's time martial skill was the most powerful time martial skill in the world. Tong Zun, Long Tian, and Wan Shou ancestor all knew about it. That was why the 3 of them wanted to kill Longao. In that case, not only could they obtain the Jinling primordial spirit in Longao's body, but they could also obtain the treasures in Longao's possession. They could even obtain the time martial skill. Once a Nirvana Rebirth martial artist had a time martial skill, their chances of winning would greatly increase. Time martial skill? Shirpatian was also shocked. He had heard of time martial skills. Just the legends alone were enough to scare him. In the past 10,000 years, there had never been a time martial skill in Tianwu continent. Longao's time martial skill was probably the only time martial skill. Shirpotian's face was also filled with greed. Before he could finish being greedy, he had already discovered that the flow of time around him had been forcefully changed. Originally, their speed was about the same, but suddenly, Shirpatian discovered that his speed had suddenly slowed down. Not only that, Longao's speed had instead become faster and faster. Was this the power of a time martial skill? Longao, I will let you experience the power of God's left hand. Chapter 1741. God's Left Hand? Of course, Longao had heard of the legend of God's left hand. God's left hand was passed down to the Dragon Clan to protect them. Although God's left hand was powerful, it could only be used 3 times. In that case, how could Shirpatian still use God's left hand? Could there be a second God's left hand? Impossible. Without a second God's left hand, Longao was very clear that there was only one possibility. The Dragon Clan had fooled the world. God's left hand could not only be used 3 times, it could be used a 4th time. This was a big problem. God's left hand was a true universe divine tool. Although it was the lowest grade, its power was extraordinary. Why would God's left hand be given to the Dragon Clan? Longao could not figure it out. Perhaps the world could not figure it out. Right at this moment, the God's left hand in Shirpotian's hand suddenly released a powerful light that shot out in all directions. The biggest secret of God's left hand was that when it was used for the 4th time, it would possess the power of the stars. No matter what, God's left hand was a true universe divine tool. Under the starry sky, no one could defeat it. God's left hand could be used a total of 4 times. When God's diviner passed it to Long Tian and the primordial divine dragon, he had said that unless it was a life and death situation, they must not use it for the 4th time. In order to kill Longao, Long Tian and the primordial divine dragon had put in a lot of effort. The terrifying power of the starry sky turned into the power of thunder and lightning, and directly struck towards Longao. Once struck, death was certain. Longao was finished. Seeing this situation, everyone knew that Longao could not resist the attack of God's left hand. Longao was also shocked. He never thought that God's left hand would be so powerful. What should he do? Should he use the power of the absolute heaven soul slave? If he used the power of the absolute heaven soul slave, he would be locked on by God's diviner. If he did not use the power of the absolute heaven soul slave, he would not be able to resist the attack of the universe divine tool. Should he use it or not? After thinking about it, in the end, Longao was still not prepared to use the absolute heaven soul slaves. Longao didn't sit there and wait for death. In this battle, he also wanted to see if he could block the attacks of God's left hand. Firmament devouring art. At the same time that Longao executed the firmament devouring art, a massive black vortex appeared behind him and began devouring everything around it. Boom! The starry sky thunder struck Longao's back. Strictly speaking, it struck the black vortex behind Longao. Longao was also taking a risk. If the firmament devouring art failed to devour the starry sky lightning, the consequences would be unimaginable. Only death would await him. Take a gamble. Longao was betting that he would definitely win. The attack stopped and God's left hand turned into ashes, vanishing without a trace. There were a total of 4 times, and he had used them all. It would be a lie to say that he didn't feel the pinch. But if he could kill Longao, it would be worth it. If it were in the past, Long Tian would definitely not have used God's left hand. But things were different now. Long Tian had already obtained the source of power. Within 3 years, he would definitely be able to break through to the starry sky state. By then, the universe divine tool would no longer be of any use. A starry sky martial artist could kill any nirvana state martial artist in a second. This was Long Tian's wishful thinking. Longao did not move at all. But Shurpatian was elated. He knew that under the attack of God's left hand, there was no way Longao could have survived. Now that he thought about it, he felt a lingering fear. If it wasn't for God's left hand, he believed that he wouldn't be a match for Longao at all. This was especially so when Longao used that sure kill skill at the end. Longao was dead? Master! Before the 3 of them could even move, a voice rang out in their ears. The 3 of them stopped dead in their tracks. It's really comfortable. Just when everyone thought that Longao was dead, Longao suddenly stretched his body and shouted, "It's really comfortable." Everyone was dumbfounded. They had no idea what was going on. Longao, you. Shurpatian stammered. Shurpatian couldn't finish what he wanted to say. He simply couldn't believe that Longao could survive under the attack of God's left hand. It was simply inconceivable. Inconceivable. Not to mention Shurpatian, everyone was shocked, especially Long Tian and the primordial divine dragon. The 2 of them knew how powerful God's left hand was when it was used for the last time. Not to mention Longao, even they, including Tongzun, Wan Shou ancestor, and even Xing Kuan, wouldn't be able to withstand such an attack. In that case, how did Longao withstand it? Impossible. Even at this moment, Long Tian and the primordial divine dragon were unwilling to believe that Longao could withstand the attack of God's left hand. Longao smiled. Shurpatian, our battle isn't over yet. If I can't defeat you in 10 moves, I'll kill myself. Arrogance. If other cultivators in the unity of heaven and man realm dared to say such words, they would be ridiculed by everyone. However, no one dared to underestimate Longao because Longao had the ability to do so. Although everyone knew that the reason why Longao was able to resist God's left hand was definitely not because of his own strength, this in itself already showed that Longao's strength was definitely not simple. Continue the battle? If it was before, Shurpatian would still be confident, especially with God's left hand. But now, Shurpatian didn't have the slightest bit of confidence. If they continued the battle, he would definitely lose. Although Shurpatian didn't reject Lin Fan, his actions told everyone that he was afraid. Patian, admit defeat. Admit defeat? Hearing the ancestor's words, Shurpatian felt a deep sense of loss and defeat. He had never thought that the ant that he could crush to death back then would be able to shake his strength now. If it weren't for the ancestor and the others, he probably would have died already. How many years had it been? He didn't want to believe it, but the truth was right in front of him. He had no choice but to accept it. Sighing deeply, he turned and left. He didn't admit defeat, but he had already lost. The myriad beast patriarch definitely wouldn't deny it. After all, with so many people watching, if they didn't admit defeat, how would the myriad beast patriarch stand on the martial heaven continent? Myriad beast patriarch, since you've lost, shouldn't you fulfill your promise? Longao wasn't the slightest bit surprised. If Sherpatian dared to continue the battle, he wouldn't be Sherpatian. However, he wasn't planning on killing Sherpatian. He just wanted to obtain the three-eyed golden ape's blood. As for Sherpatian, he could kill him at any time. Chapter 1742. Longao, whether or not you can get the blood will depend on your luck. I can't help you. You want to go back on your word? Longao was curious. Although they had not made a blood oath, the Thousand Beasts' ancestor should not go back on his word under such circumstances. He shook his head. Longao, since you know about the three-eyed golden ape, I believe that you also know about the three-eyed golden ape situation. Even a drop of three-eyed golden ape's blood is extremely rare. Even I may not be able to obtain it. What do you mean? Longao had a rough understanding of the three-eyed golden ape. Longao only had one reason for wanting the blood of the three-eyed golden ape, and that was to make pills. Previously, there were thousands of people in the dragon sect who had obtained the divine Tao inheritance, but were unable to break through to the divine Tao realm. If Longao succeeded in making the pills, not only would they be able to break through to the divine Tao realm, but they would also be able to advance quickly. The catalyst for this pill was the blood of the three-eyed golden ape. Other than that, Longao also heard Xiling say that as long as Aoshue could devour the blood of the three-eyed golden ape, it would not fall into a coma for a few years even if it did not devour other powers. Because of this, he had to get the blood of the three-eyed golden ape. He waved his hand. Old Sure, why did you summon me? Three-eyed golden ape? Seeing the three-eyed golden ape appear beside the Thousand Beasts' ancestor, everyone's eyes widened. This legendary auspicious beast was rarely seen in 100 years. Three-eyed golden ape, level 1 Nirvana divine beast. The 5 Nirvana realms were divided into level 1 Nirvana divine beast, level 2 Nirvana divine beast, level 3 Nirvana divine beast, level 4 Nirvana divine beast, and level 5 Nirvana divine beast. The three-eyed golden ape strength was only equivalent to a unity of heaven warrior. Brother three-eyed, someone wants your blood? F***ck, it was a simple word, but the three-eyed golden ape's meaning was clear. He would not give it to him. As for whether or not the Thousand Beasts' ancestor had told him beforehand, no one knew. Shrugging his shoulders helplessly, the myriad beasts' ancestor said helplessly, Longao, it's not that I don't want to give it to you. It's just that brother three-eyed doesn't want to. Shameless. One had to admit that the myriad beasts' ancestor was shameless to the extreme. However, no one on the scene spoke. Everyone was eager for Longao to die. Longao didn't say anything. He just stood there. Right at this moment, the reincarnation avatar suddenly appeared in front of the Thousand Beasts' ancestor. His face was expressionless as his left palm slammed towards the Thousand Beasts' ancestor. As for his right hand, he grabbed the three-eyed golden ape and threw it into the dragon seal space. Things happened too suddenly. If the three-eyed golden ape had been prepared, even if it was not as strong as the reincarnation avatar, it would not have been thrown into the dragon seal space. The myriad beast's ancestor was shocked when he saw the three-eyed golden ape suddenly disappear. He immediately threw out a punch. The myriad beast's ancestor did not move, but the reincarnation doppelganger was forcefully sent flying like a kite with a broken string. He was overjoyed. The defensive power of the samsara doppelganger was very strong. Unless it was a starry sky martial artist, even a nirvana rebirth martial artist would not be able to break through the defensive power of the samsara doppelganger. In midair, The reincarnation doppelganger had already disappeared and returned to Longao's dantian. Longao, you're courting death. Myriad beasts' ancestor, you're the one who was heartless first. Don't blame me for being unjust. Let's make a bet. As long as Sherpatian loses to me, you'll give me a drop of the three-eyed golden ape's blood. Since you didn't keep your promise, then I won't be polite and will take it myself. Other than the myriad beast's ancestor, everyone else was dumbfounded. They did not know what to say. Things happened too suddenly. Until now, no one had reacted. All right, Longao, as long as you release the three-eyed golden ape, I'll give you a drop of blood. How about it? Do you think I'll believe you? Furious, but for the three-eyed golden ape, the myriad beast's ancestor forcefully suppressed his anger. Now that the three-eyed golden ape was in Longao's hands, what would he do if something happened to it? He had to protect the three-eyed golden ape first. Longao, what do you want? Humph, myriad beast's ancestor. I've already said that you're the one who went back on your word. Don't blame me. I won't return the three-eyed golden ape to you. If you want it back, you'll have to rely on your own ability. Longao was no fool. He would definitely not hand over the three-eyed golden ape. Even if a drop of blood was refined into an elixir, the medicinal effect would be greatly reduced. If a tenth of the three-eyed golden ape's blood was refined into an elixir, and the rest was given to the Aoshue, the consequences would be dire. Long Tian, I won't let this go so easily. I'll definitely return in the future. Without breaking through the Dragon Clan's cosmic energy, Longao was clear that there was no way he could win this battle. Since that was the case, why waste time here? As the saying goes, revenge is a dish best served cold. As long as he could think of a way to break through the Dragon Clan's cosmic energy, then he might be able to defeat the Dragon Clan with his army of 500,000 corpse slaves. Otherwise, he might not even have a chance. Leaving just like that? But would the myriad beast's ancestor agree? Would Long Tian and the primordial divine dragon agree? Would Tong Zun agree? Now that the three superpowers had joined hands, if they allowed Longao to leave just like that, where would their dignity go? Especially the myriad beast's ancestor. Not only did they fail to kill Longao, but the three-eyed golden ape was also taken away by Longao. How could the myriad beast's ancestor accept this? With a single step, all the Nirvana realm martial artists attacked with all their might. As long as they could kill Longao, there was no doubt that not only would the myriad beast's ancestor be able to take back the three-eyed golden ape, they would also be able to split the Jinling primordial spirit in Longao's body, the treasures, and even the time martial technique. Longao naturally did not dare to face the combined attack of more than 40 Nirvana realm martial artists. Instead, he directly entered the Dragon Seal space. Not only that, but the army of 500,000 corpse slaves also disappeared with Longao, as well as Yun Luoshan and the other two. It was completely empty. We overlooked the spatial ripples. Longao must have used a spatial artifact to leave. Deep helplessness. No one had expected that Longao would escape. Perhaps they were too confident. This time, none of the three superpowers used a spatial artifact to interfere with the spatial ripples. It was truly a mistake. Anger, unwillingness, regret. This battle was simply a disgrace to the three superpowers. Not only did Longao successfully escape, he even used God's left hand twice and lost the three-eyed golden ape. Among the three superpowers, only the Martial Artists Alliance did not suffer a single loss. Even so, Tong Zun sighed. Longao was simply too unpredictable. If he was not eliminated as soon as possible, there would be endless trouble in the future. Longao, even if you run to the ends of the earth, I will tear you into pieces. The myriad beast's ancestor roared towards the sky. He had lost the three-eyed golden ape for nothing. He could completely imagine the fate of the three-eyed golden ape. P.S. I'll send 3 chapters first. Little 9, wait and see if you can continue writing. If you can't, you can continue tomorrow. There are at least 10 chapters today. There are still 7 chapters left. If anyone has a vote, please vote for Longao. Little 9 thanks. Many people could not understand why Longao did not devour Jinling's primordial spirit himself. It was common knowledge. Longao's cultivation had already broken through the Nirvana realm. As long as he devoured Jinling's essence spirit, his chances of breaking through to the starry sky realm in the future would be very high. Was Jinling's primordial spirit really Longao's wife? It was simply impossible. In everyone's opinion, the reason why Longao acted this way was nothing more than an excuse. With the ceasefire of the 10 forces, whether it was the second-rate sects, third-rate sects, or fourth-rate sects, all of them stopped fighting. After less than a year of turmoil, the new structure of the continent had been re-established. There were countless casualties. Some people did a rough calculation. This time, the continent had lost tens of millions of cultivators. What kind of concept was that? Although the entire Sky Marshal continent, including the 9 states continent and the Western region continent, had a total population of tens of billions, it could not bear such a loss. Massacre Abyss. Within Dragon City, the 4 people who had successfully returned all let out a long sigh of relief. They had been lucky in this battle. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unthinkable. The 3 of you will guard the Massacre Abyss. Remember, if the 3 families come, you just need to close your doors and not come out. Master, you're leaving? The master's decision to leave at this time was a bit. However, no one objected to the master's decision. Longao was the master of the sect, not them. Yes, I just obtained the 3-eyed golden ape. I need to hurry back to Dragon Valley. Aoshue needs the 3-eyed golden ape. The pill could be delayed, but Aoshue could not. That was because Longao didn't know when Aoshue would faint. According to Xiling, the more times Aoshue fainted, the worse it would be for Aoshue and the child in her womb. That was why Longao was so impatient to obtain the 3-eyed golden ape. So it was because of this. The 3 of them were very clear about the relationship between Longao and Aoshue. They didn't say anything, just nodding. Longao did not hesitate in the slightest when he said to leave. As soon as Longao left the Slaughter Abyss, news spread that the Myriad Beast sect had planted spies in the Dragon sect. This kind of thing was unavoidable. It was normal for spies to be planted in each other. The Myriad Beast's ancestor, who had just received the news, immediately stood up. Longao had left in the direction of the Jiuzhou continent. If they continued to chase, they would definitely not be able to catch up to Longao. Once Longao entered the Dragon Valley, it would be extremely difficult to kill Longao and take back the 3-eyed golden ape. The only way was to kill Longao midway. If it was in the past, the Myriad Beast ancestor would definitely have acted alone. If it was for no other reason than to take Jianling's Yuan spirit for himself, he definitely wouldn't do that now. The reason was simple. In his opinion, it was unknown whether or not he could keep Longao here. As a result, the Myriad Beast ancestor invited Tong Zun and Long Tian to the border between the 9 provinces continent and the Martial Heaven continent, hoping to kill Longao there. They waited. Is it possible that Longao isn't going to Dragon Valley? Although they were certain that Longao was going in that direction, they didn't know whether or not Longao was going to Dragon Valley. If he wasn't, wouldn't it be pointless for the 3 of them to wait here? The Myriad Beast ancestor sneered. Longao stole my 3-eyed golden ape. I've already investigated why. His wife, Aoshue, seems to be in trouble. She needs to devour the 3-eyed golden ape's blood essence to get better. According to my guess, Longao will definitely go to Dragon Valley to save his wife. So that's how it was. The 2 of them didn't ask any more questions. They knew that the Myriad Beast ancestor definitely had a spy. As for why he was able to investigate so clearly, it was because of the Myriad Beast ancestor. This information was extremely important to them. Since that's the case, we'll just wait here. Hopefully, Longao is going to Dragon Valley. Otherwise, we'll miss the best opportunity. In truth, the 3 of them were betting that Longao would definitely go to Dragon Valley. Just like that, the 3 of them hid in the shadows, waiting for Longao to come. Chapter 1744. For 3 days, the 3 of them did not see Longao. Could it be that Longao had no plans to return to the Dragon Valley? Dragon Valley. Longao had already returned to the Dragon Valley. As for the three of them trying to kill him, how could he not know? While carrying the three-eyed golden ape, Longao had only kept 1/10 of its blood. The rest of the blood, essence, and soul had all been devoured by Aoshue. He had to admit that the three-eyed golden ape was truly powerful. On the third day after Aoshue had devoured the three-eyed golden ape, it had already broken through to the Nirvana realm. He was overjoyed. Longao had never imagined that Aoshue would break through after devouring the three-eyed golden ape. Are we really going to send the three-eyed golden ape's corpse back to the Wansho sect? Hearing his son's words, Long Yi's expression changed. Although the Dragon sect and the Wansho sect were like fire and water, this was still a challenge to the Wansho sect's bottom line. Long Yi was very worried. If he angered the Wansho sect, wouldn't he be causing trouble for himself? How could Longao not know his father's fear? Father, I want to anger the Wansho sect. However, don't send the three-eyed golden ape's corpse to them. Give it to the Long family. Long Yi seemed to want to say something, but in the end, he swallowed his words. He was very clear that his son knew what he was doing. Long Yi immediately left and sent people to take the three-eyed golden ape's corpse away. Their destination was not the Wansho sect, but the Long family. Longao and Long Tian had formed an alliance, splitting the three-eyed golden ape equally to deal with the Wansho sect's ancestor. It was unknown who spread the news, but in a few short hours, the entire Sky Martial continent had already spread. Everyone was very curious. They did not know what was going on. Why would Longao and Long Tian suddenly form an alliance? The Wansho sect's ancestor, who had already returned to the Wansho sect, was furious when he heard the news. It was definitely Longao's scheme. But even so, the Wansho sect's ancestor still went to the Long family. The Wansho sect, the Martial Artists Alliance, the Long family, and the Wansho sect were all in conflict. Ancestor, this is the three-eyed golden ape's corpse. Why is it here? Long Hang was completely dumbfounded. He knew very well what a three-eyed golden ape meant. Was it to frame? Everyone. The three-eyed golden ape had already been taken away by Longao. Since that was the case, why would it appear in the Longshi clan? Long Tian and the primordial divine dragon looked at each other and saw something fishy in each other's eyes. Long Tian. Big brother, Longao is clearly trying to get us to fight with the Wansho sect. At that time, he can just sit back and reap the benefits. So that was the case. Long Hang had never thought that Longao would send the three-eyed golden ape's corpse over. Not only was the blood and essence of the three-eyed golden ape useful, even its corpse was useful. Right at this moment, Brother Sure, come and save me. They are trying to harm me. Seeing the Wansho sect's ancestor, everyone was dumbfounded. The three-eyed golden ape had just been a corpse. Why was it suddenly speaking? Could it be that the three-eyed golden ape was still alive? Long Tian, you are truly shameless. You even dare to touch my three-eyed golden ape. The Wansho sect's ancestor was furious. He did not believe what he had heard. Although he did not know why the three-eyed golden ape was in the Long family, the truth was the truth. Brother Three-Eyed, what is going on? There was no way to explain. Long Tian was extremely wronged. Before the three-eyed golden ape could say anything, Long Tian stood up and said, Senior Sure, please don't misunderstand. This is obviously Longao's plan. He wants to sow discord between us. He wants us to fight so that he can reap the benefits. Would the Wansho sect's ancestor believe it? If the three-eyed golden ape had fallen, even if it appeared in the Long family, the Wansho sect's ancestor would not believe it. He would think that it was Longao's scheme to sow discord. But what was the result? Brother Sure, perhaps Longao did not want our relationship to be too tense, so he let me go. Halfway through, Long Tian suddenly attacked. His intention is simple. He wants to devour me. Between the Long family and the three-eyed golden ape, the Wansho sect's ancestor would undoubtedly choose the three-eyed golden ape. Long Tian, you are courting death. The three-eyed golden ape hid to the side, while the Wansho sect's ancestor charged towards Long Tian. In the blink of an eye, the two sides were engaged in a fierce battle. He was depressed to the extreme. He clearly knew that this was Longao's strategy to sow discord, but he was still unable to defend himself. However, things had already reached this point. Long Tian knew that if he didn't fight, only death would await him. Fight! The battle between Long Tian and the Wan Shou sect's ancestor erupted. However, the Wan Shou sect's ancestor did not go too far. The battle between the two took place in the Nine Heavens. This way, at least the Long family would not be destroyed. Brother Shi, listen to me. Speak your sister. The Wan Shou sect's ancestor did not give Long Ao any chance to speak. One move after another, it was as if they could topple mountains and overturn seas. Without Xing Kuan's rebirth, the Wan Shou sect's ancestor was known as the strongest under the starry sky. Long Tian had the help of the primordial divine dragon, while the Wan Shou sect's ancestor had the help of other nirvana divine beasts. Both sides were evenly matched, and it would not be easy to determine the winner. Long Tian was unlucky to have been schemed against by Long Ao. Many people knew about the battle between the two, except for Long Hua, who had just broken through to the heaven-multiplying stage. He was considered a top genius, and had been in seclusion for 30 years. When he came out, he saw the Wan Shou sect's ancestor fighting with someone. Long Hua did not recognize the Wan Shou sect's ancestor. Just as he was about to turn and leave, the Wan Shou sect's ancestor suddenly appeared in front of him. Long Tian, how dare you devour the three-eyed golden ape? If I don't teach the Long family a lesson, you will really think that I am a pushover. The Wan Shou sect's ancestor did not kill Long Hua, but with his strength, it was easy for him to control Long Hua. Who are you? Long Hua was shocked. He could feel the terrifying strength of the other party. He did not even have the chance to fight back. To be able to fight the two patriarchs to a standstill, one could only imagine the strength of this person. Without answering, the Wan Shou sect's ancestor destroyed Long Hua's dantian. In other words, from now on, Long Hua was just a cripple, worse than an ordinary person. This feeling of falling from the sky to the bottom made Long Hua want to die. You dare to hurt me, Long Hua, I will take your life. The Wan Shou sect's ancestor did not want to waste any more time. He immediately fled with the three-eyed golden ape. In the blink of an eye, the Wan Shou sect's ancestor and the three-eyed golden ape had disappeared without a trace. P.S. The 5th chapter has been delivered. Little 9 will try to hurry up with the next 5 chapters. Brothers with votes, please vote for Long Ao. Little 9 thanks. Chapter 1745. This matter isn't over. If the Long family doesn't give me an explanation, I will destroy the Long family in the future. The myriad beast's ancestor's figure had already disappeared, but his voice came from afar. A threat. A blatant threat. The myriad beast's ancestor's threat and crippling of Long Hua's cultivation showed that he didn't put the Long family in his eyes. He didn't chase. Long Tian's face was extremely gloomy. With Long Hua's talent, it wouldn't take long for him to reach the Nirvana stage, or even the Nirvana rebirth stage. Ancestor. Humph, with a heavy snort, Long Tian's voice was extremely cold as he said, the myriad beast's ancestor, this old man, is simply courting death. Pass down my orders. From now on, attack the myriad beast sect. Although he knew that this was Long Ao's plan to sow discord, Long Tian knew that there was no turning back for the family. They could only fight. After leaving the Long family, the myriad beast's ancestor felt that something was amiss. Perhaps he was too anxious just now. The Long family didn't need to find trouble with him, especially under such circumstances. Three-eyed golden ape, what are you doing? Even so, the myriad beast's ancestor was still hit by the three-eyed golden ape. If he hadn't dodged in such a hurry, he believed that just this attack alone would have been enough to take his life. The myriad beast's ancestor was completely dumbfounded. He couldn't understand why the three-eyed golden ape would suddenly attack him. Could it be Long Ao? Idiot. The three-eyed golden ape didn't say anything else. This was because the three-eyed golden ape wasn't a real three-eyed golden ape, but a corpse slave, a Nirvana divine beast corpse slave. This move of Long Ao's to sow discord could be considered vicious to the extreme. Even if the myriad beast's ancestor found out now, he would have already made a huge mistake. Even if he was willing to stop, the Long family wouldn't. The three-eyed golden ape's strength wasn't a match for the myriad beast's ancestor. After 30 moves, the three-eyed golden ape was completely destroyed. Looking at the corpse on the ground, the myriad beast's ancestor didn't say anything. His eyes were extremely cold. Perhaps it was because he was too angry, but at this moment, the myriad beast's ancestor's body was trembling. What a good move to sow discord. The three-eyed golden ape had already been refined into a corpse slave. Longao had used the three-eyed golden ape to successfully drive a wedge between him and Long Tian. There was no need to return. The myriad beast's ancestor had already guessed the consequences. They would save as much as they could. No matter what, the three-eyed golden ape had already fallen. The most important thing now was to find a way to settle the Long family. Otherwise, when two tigers fought, one of them would definitely be injured. As for Longao, he couldn't wait for him to start a fight with Long Tian. At that time, he would be able to reap the benefits. Long family. Long Tian was furious to the extreme and had already sent his army to the Wanshou sect. It could be said that a war was about to break out. Long Tian had already committed suicide. After all, his cultivation had been crippled, and he was even weaker than an ordinary person. It was easy to imagine what his life would be like in the future. Losing a Nirvana realm martial artist for no reason. How could he not be furious? Long Tian kept telling himself that he had already devoured the power of the origin, and that he would reach the star state as long as he had enough time. There was no need to ruin his plans in a moment of anger. In the end, Longao was still unable to swallow this anger. Because for a martial artist to walk in the sky martial continent, not only did he have to cultivate and break through, but he also had to take a breath. The Wanshou sect ancestor didn't even put the Long family in his eyes. It was simply unbearable. The secret cave could be tolerated, but the chrysanthemum could not be tolerated. Before Long Tian could personally make a move, the Wanshou sect ancestor, who had already left, suddenly returned for some unknown reason. "You old man, I will definitely make you pay twice the price." As the saying goes, when enemies meet, their eyes turn red. Long Tian really couldn't understand why the Wanshou sect ancestor would return for no reason. Did he really think that he was easy to bully? He was extremely regretful in his heart. Just now, he had been too rash and made a big mistake. "Brother Long, don't be angry." Don't be angry? How could he not be angry? Without waiting for Long Tian to speak, the Wanshou sect ancestor continued, "Brother Long, just now, I was halfway there when the three-eyed golden ape suddenly attacked me. If I'm not mistaken, the three-eyed golden ape has already been killed by Longao and refined into a corpse slave. He wants us to kill each other and then reap the benefits. If it weren't for the matter of Long Hua, this matter would have been over. After all, Long Tian didn't want to benefit Longao for nothing. But now," sneering, Long Tian coldly said, "Your words are really nice to hear. You killed my Long Hua for nothing, and now you want to reconcile? Do you really think that we're easy to bully?" Bad. Hearing Long Tian's words, the Wanshou sect ancestor knew that this matter was bad. He cursed Long Ao's 18 generations of ancestors. This move to sow discord was simply too ruthless. It seemed that this battle was unavoidable. If it was any other time, the Wanshou sect ancestor naturally wouldn't be afraid. At worst, they could just fight. He was confident that with the strength of the Wanshou sect, defeating the Long family wouldn't be a problem. At worst, they would suffer a great loss of vitality and recover for a few decades. However, the situation now was different. This move was clearly what the Longao wanted to see. If he were to fight with the Long family, wouldn't that mean that he had fallen into the Longao's trap? The one who would be the happiest was still the Longao. "Brother Long, you should know that I'm not afraid of you, but I don't want to give others a chance. If we were to fight, the Longao would be the happiest. I can promise you that the person I just killed will let you raise a condition. How about it?" Long Tian also gradually calmed down. Just as the myriad beast ancestor had said, once the Long clan and the myriad beast sect went to war, it would not benefit him in the slightest. In the end, it would only benefit Longao, and the loss would not make up for it. Seeing that you're sincere, I'll temporarily accept. Long Tian was delighted. I only have 2 conditions. I lost a heavenly cycle reproduction cultivator, and your Wanshou sect has to do everything you can to help the Long family create a nirvana cultivator within a year. That's not a problem. The Wanshou sect ancestor didn't even think about it and directly agreed. This was because for him, it was only a little troublesome, but not impossible. In order to temporarily appease the Long family, there was no need to refuse. Once he destroyed the Long Ao, the Wanshou sect ancestor coldly snorted. At that time, would Long Tian still dare to act like this? It seemed that Long Tian had grasped this point of his, otherwise, Long Tian definitely wouldn't dare to act like this. Smiling, Long Tian was very satisfied. He continued, there's one more condition. You, Wanshou sect ancestor, must publicly apologize to the Long family and admit that what happened before was your fault. How about it? P.S. The 6th chapter has been delivered. Little 9 has something to do and has to go out. The remaining 4 chapters will be updated tonight. Chapter 1746. Apologize? Or announce it publicly to the world. Originally, the Myriad Beast's old ancestor wanted to continue working with Long Tian to deal with the Long Ao first. But the result? Long Tian was obviously looking for trouble. Sneering, the Myriad Beast's old ancestor said coldly, Long Tian, apologize? Don't even think about it. I can reject it right now. In that case, I won't send you off. An eviction order. With swords drawn and bows bent, the attitudes of the two were extremely cold. A great battle was about to break out. At this moment, Long Tian stood out and said gently, Old ancestor, Senior sure, this matter is clear. It's the Long Ao's scheme. We don't have to fall for it. Otherwise, we'll let the Long Ao get what he wants. So what if they knew? Things had already reached this stage. Were they going to back down? Under such circumstances, both the Myriad Beast's old ancestor and Long Tian would not back down. Unless you apologize, there's nothing to talk about. So be it. I'm not afraid of you. He turned and left. The Myriad Beast's old ancestor could not care about anything else. At most, he would fall out with the Long family. You want to leave? Long Tian and the Myriad Beast's ancestors' figures suddenly disappeared. The two of them arrived in the void of the 9 heavens, where the clouds stretched as far as the eye could see. It's either you die or I die. Just you. In the next moment, the two of them began to move, exchanging blows back and forth as they fought to their heart's content. Long Ao, who was far away in the Dragon Valley. Hearing the news, Long Ao was not surprised at all. This was because there was a 90% chance that he would succeed in sowing discord. As expected, with the 3 super forces working together, it was indeed difficult to do anything. If the 2 sides were to fight, it would be best if both sides suffered heavy losses. If that was the case, he could take advantage of the situation and reap the benefits. Just as you expected, the Long family and the Myriad Beast sect have started a war. What should we do next? Long Yi was impressed by his son's foresight. He finally knew why his son wanted to send the 3-eyed golden ape's corpse back to the Long family and not the Myriad Beast sect. This move of sowing discord was indeed ruthless. Let's wait and see. If nothing unexpected happens, the Wanshou sect and the Long family will fight to the death. Fighting to the death was what Long Ao wanted to see the most. Long Yi chose to believe him. Where is the Martial Artists Alliance? Next, we'll focus on dealing with the Martial Artists Alliance. As for the Long family and the Wanshou sect, I'm sure they have their hands full. Even if we can't destroy the Martial Artists Alliance, we can't let the Martial Artists Alliance have a good time. Long Ao had already given the order. This time, he was not going to lead the team himself. Not only him, but the 3 elders would also not send a single person, because Long Ao's intention was very simple. He wanted to use the army of 500,000 corpse slaves to destroy the Martial Artists Alliance's foundation. As for the Nirvana-level warriors of the Martial Artists Alliance, he knew his own strength. Unless he used the power of the absolute heaven soul slave, he would not be able to fight against the Nirvana-level warriors of the Martial Artists Alliance with his current strength. The army of 500,000 corpse slaves was led by a supreme Tao warrior, and they were going to attack the Martial Artists Alliance. Tong Zun, who had received the news, did not choose to face the Longao alone. The reason was simple. Even if the Martial Artists Alliance could destroy the Dragon Sect in the end, it would be a draw. By then, others would definitely take advantage of the situation, and the consequences would be unimaginable. He immediately contacted the Wan Shou sect and the Long family. They would live together, and they would die together. Tong Zun was confident that as long as he sent out an invitation, both the Wan Shou sect and the Long family would definitely come to help him. After all, he had already helped the Long family when they faced the Longao. And the result? After Tong Zun sent out the invitation, both the Wan Shou sect and the Long family chose to reject it. Both of them gave the same reason. They could not be bothered. Could not be bothered? Tong Zun was furious when he heard this reason. He thought to himself, Motherf Ker, when you were in trouble, I helped you without hesitation. But when I was in trouble, none of you came to help me. You've gone too far. What Tong Zun didn't expect was that the Long clan and the Wan Shou sect would suddenly start a war with each other. It was as if they had nothing better to do than to fight each other to the death. If it was before, it would not be a big deal for the two families to start a war. After all, the feud between the 10 families had never stopped. But now, it was a little unreasonable for the two families to start a war. Previously, the three families had made an agreement that as long as the Longao was alive, the three families would always be allies. If that was the case, why would the Long family and the Wan Shou sect start a war? Everyone knew about the feud between the Wan Shou sect and the Long family. Perhaps they did not want to spread the news. Even Tong Zun did not know about it. He felt helpless. At this time, Tong Zun was not stupid enough to cause trouble for the two families. One Longao was enough for him to deal with. How should he deal with the 500,000 corpse slaves? As the leader of the Martial Artists Alliance, Tong Tiandi certainly hoped to avoid this disaster. The power of the 500,000 corpse slaves was too terrifying. Even if the Martial Artists Alliance could mobilize all the martial artists in the world, even if they won in the end, it would be a lose-lose situation. Among the 10 families, the Martial Artists Alliance was the only sect that could mobilize all the martial artists in the world. This was also the reason why the Martial Artists Alliance was called an alliance. In order to fight against the Longao, Tong Tiandi issued the alliance leader command. In just one day, the alliance had over 10 million martial artists. This was a terrifying number. Tong Zun and Tong Tiandi could finally breathe a sigh of relief. Even if the 10 million martial artists all died, they would not frown. In other words, the 10 million martial artists were just cannon fodder. If they could destroy the 500,000 corpse slaves, it would be too easy to deal with the Longao alone. 20 people against one corpse slave. No matter how powerful the corpse slave was, 2 fists were no match for 4 hands. The two did not believe that the 10 million martial artists could not deal with the 500,000 corpse slaves. In the Martial Artists Alliance's headquarters, one day and one night passed in the blink of an eye. In the main hall, Sky Emperor, are you sure that the Longao will bring the 500,000 corpse slaves to attack us? If the Longao had already made up his mind, he would have come long ago. But now? Tong Tiandi was also puzzled. He nodded and said, Ancestor, according to the information we received, the Longao has indeed given the order to attack the Martial Artists Alliance. As for why he hasn't come yet, it might be because we have gathered over 10 million martial artists. Is the Longao afraid? I'm afraid that's the reason. It seems like Longao is not a fool. If the army of 500,000 corpse slaves is destroyed and he is the only one left, even we can easily deal with him, let alone tens of millions of martial artists joining forces. Author's note, I came back late. The 7th chapter is here. Xiaoju drank some water and immediately continued writing. If anyone has a vote, please vote for the Longao. Xiaoju thanks. Chapter 1747. Ancestor. Why don't I go and get some information now? Remember, be precise.
Yes.
Tong Tiandi immediately stood up. His intuition told him that the reason why Longao didn't come wasn't because of the millions of warriors. He understood Longao's character too well. Would a person who dared to fight the martial artists' alliance for his lover be afraid of millions of warriors? Moreover, Longao had an army of 500,000 corpse slaves. It was more than enough to fight 1 against 20 with the strength of the corpse slaves and their immortal bodies. Thinking about the Wanshou sect and the Long family, could it be that Longao was up to something? What Tong Tiandi was most afraid of was that Longao had some tricks up his sleeve. It was easy to dodge an open attack, but hard to defend against a hidden arrow. This matter sounded extremely laughable. Extremely laughable. A Longao and a newly risen dragon sect shouldn't be taken seriously by the 10 direction cauldrons. But what happened? Everyone said that they didn't care about Longao, but they were actually very afraid of Longao. When Longao made a move, the whole world was afraid. In the Dragon Valley, Lu Li had already rushed over from the Massacre Abyss. As for Yun Luoshan and Yun Feng, they stayed in the Massacre Abyss to guard Dragon Sect. Master, since we're not going to attack the Martial Artists Alliance, why do we have to do this? Lu Li couldn't understand why the Master had to do this. It's a diversion. So that's why. Lu Li didn't know who the Master was referring to. Could it be the Long family or the Wanshou sect? As if he could guess Lu Li's doubts, Longao nodded with a smile and said, "You're right. My target this time isn't the Martial Artists Alliance, but the Long family." Master, I don't understand. Now that the Long family and the Wanshou sect were at war, when both sides suffered, they could reap the benefits. If that was the case, why was the Master in such a hurry? Long family at this time. Wouldn't they be helping the Wanshou sect? He could not figure it out. He simply couldn't figure it out. According to the information we received, the Martial Artists Alliance has already gathered tens of millions of martial artists to wait for us. Although the Corpse Demon army is powerful, if we fight against 20 of them, even if we win, it will be a Pyrrhic victory. Lu Li was very clear about this. No matter what, the Corpse Demon army was not invincible. If every Corpse Demon army was a Supreme Divine Tao Corpse Demon or a Rebirth Corpse Demon, then they could completely sweep through the world and be invincible. But now, that might not be the case. As for the Wanshou sect and the Long family, from an outsider's point of view, if the two sects go to war, both sides will suffer great losses, but I don't think so. Master, why is that? The reason is very simple. Both the Myriad Beasts Ancestor and Long Tian knew their limits. The two of them would fight at most. Even if there were casualties, it would not harm their foundations. So that was the case. Now that he thought about it, that was indeed the case. At this time, if we attack the Long family, I believe the Wanshou sect and the Martial Artists Alliance will not help us. Not only that, but the Wanshou sect will also help us. As long as we can destroy the Long family and take the Dragon tribe, then we will have the upper hand and slowly turn around to deal with the Martial Artists Alliance and the Wanshou sect. Master, you are so wise. This diversionary tactic was really powerful. Lu Li did not believe Longao before. After all, she did not see it with her own eyes, so no one dared to make any guarantees. But after these few counterattacks, and this time, Lu Li was convinced. Following such a powerful person, her future path would be even further. Elder Lu Li, I have always kept your matter in mind. In the next 2 days, I will help you and Elder Chief-elect to break through together. I hope you will not disappoint me. Not only Lu Li, but even the Chief-elect who had just arrived was shocked. Then, both of their faces were filled with surprise. Both Lu Li and Chief-elect did not doubt Longao's words. In their hearts, Longao was a mysterious person. Thank you, Master. Elder Chief-elect, the array of the Massacre Abyss is finished. Chief-elect was a divine-level array master. He might not be invincible, but he was the best array master in the world. That was why Longao kept him in the Massacre Abyss to set up the array. Master, don't worry. All the arrays have been set up. Even if the Martial Artists Alliance, the Wanshou sect, and the Long family attack together, they will not be able to enter the massacre abyss. If they try to break through the array, I guarantee that they will not be able to come out. He was overjoyed. Regarding the Chief-Elect's array formation standards, Longao did not have the slightest doubt. At this time, Longao took out a dark yellow booklet from his chest. On it was written the words Burning Sky Array Art. It was the secret array book that Fention had taught him. He did not know before, but as his array skills continued to improve, Longao realized that the Burning Sky Array Art that his master had taught him was broad and profound. It was unfathomable. Master, is that the Burning Sky Array Art in your hands? Yes, you know the Burning Sky Array Art? Longao was very curious. He did not know why Chief-Elect would know the Burning Sky Array Art in his hands. Greed was written all over his face. However, it was pure greed. Because Chief-Elect had already submitted to Longao, it was impossible for him to snatch the secret manual. Longao was very confident about this. Master, the Burning Sky Array Art is a secret array book that every array master dreams of obtaining. It is said that the Burning Sky Ancestor, the ancestor of the Wanjan school, had this secret array book. Burning Sky Ancestor? Could his master be the Burning Sky Ancestor that Chief-Elect mentioned? Longao could not figure out why Wanjan school would choose to help him. He could not figure it out no matter how he thought about it. If his master was really the ancestor of Wanjan school, then everything would make sense. Chief-Elect, can you tell me more about the Burning Sky Ancestor? No problem, Master. Legend has it that the Burning Sky Ancestor became famous 10,000 years ago. Not only is he powerful, but his array skills are also the best in the world. Even the Heavenly Tao said that if the Burning Sky Ancestor could break through to the Starry Sky realm, then even a level 8 Starry Sky cultivator might not be able to resist the Burning Sky Ancestor. Since ancient times, the Burning Sky Ancestor has always been the best array master. No one can surpass him. I see. Was Ancestor Fention really his master, Fention? Longao wanted to know the answer because his intuition told him that the Burning Sky Ancestor mentioned by Chief-Elect, the ancestor of Wanjan school, was most likely his master. Chief-Elect, I originally wanted to teach you this secret array book, but I have to verify something. I will tell you later. Now, I will leave for a while and return in about 3 days. Remember, long family matters should be handled according to my previous request. P.S. The 8th chapter has been delivered. Thank you for the lonely cloud of the wind knows. Nostalgia. I'm sick. Ignore me, my body. Because I love you so I care. 1234. The seas run dry and the rocks crumble. Everlasting love. King Kong. And T.S. Thank you for the support of the top 10 brothers on the fan list. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.